Sports on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Oh, boys! I'm back!
Beards is back from his honeymoon. He has a very fashionable piece of jewelry, theoretically a couple stories from Galaxy's Edge, a new Coca-Cola t-shirt. We'll talk about all sorts of things here in Beards' return to the board on tonight's Almost Entirely Sports. We'll also have our friend David Lesky of Royals Review and Inside the Crown on the show in studio at 9. Scott Chasen covering KU, and our resident Suns expert will join us at 8. Yes, the Suns are up 1-0. Holy cow, it says on the Twitch, technical difficulties in progress on the top of the screen. That's a new one for me. And while we're at it, Beards, I would like to also, we've talked about your wedding many times on this show, both before and after, but I would also like to be the first to congratulate you on the Boston Celtics hiring their first black coach.
Were you hacked?
Oh, hold on. I was hacked. Yeah, Beards, I think what's going on right now is some OBS stuff, because this is not a message. It isn't a very basic font. It says
I put that there.
You wrote technical difficulties in progress?
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
The video stream had froze. Well, there was no audio at first, and then the video stream froze when I tried to fix the issue, but now we're good. Okay.
New marriage,
We're
same
good.
Beards.
We're good.
It's all black screen right now. Well, maybe we're good.
I want to give Jay Williams like a little bit of credit. Like it's easy to forget coaches who have never won titles. Not saying black coaches never won a title in Celtics history. Right?
No. So because it's crazy that you forgot this because we've done this bit before.
Yeah.
But Doc Rivers just won a title there just like a little bit ago. Just very recently. Also, Beards, you know how much I hate producing on the radio, especially for a video element that like half a dozen people might be seeing at the very beginning of the show.
Yeah.
But you ought to move the chat box to the left side for today because it's currently blocking out Rudy, and the back camera's not working, and neither of our headphone jacks in here are working very well, so Rudy is just punching the console.
I remember last time, I think I hit the console to fix yours.
No,
maybe
last time
Oh, we screamed. That's
we got
what it
very
was.
loud.
That's what it was. That's how we fixed it.
Suns at 4! Did it fix it?
I fixed the chat box.
It didn't fix it for me.
It's on a little bit of a delay. It's fixed now. So we'll talk about my sons. Josh has sons, and of course we'll talk about the Royals had a day game today. It's why we can have Lesky in here. It is a dumb joke, Rudy. I'm glad that you see that now.
I would never make a joke like that.
The Royals, apparently, I just saw this on Twitter because I didn't realize this is the time the Royals have lost their 50th game ahead of the All-Star break, so good for them. I knew they lost today. I watched that entire miserable game, and I say miserable because actually Brady Singer was great to start, and still didn't matter.
Now, if nobody saw them lose, does it count as a loss? Because not only does nobody have Bali, they also went to something else in like the 8th inning. So most people
they went
who
to
even
an old
access,
tennis tournament of some sort was airing on Bally Sports.
So even most people who have access to Bally Sports couldn't actually watch the ending of the game.
Yeah,
because of that.
To watch the Royals, I have to hack into the mainframe, and then I put some aluminum foil on some rabbit ears, and I hack into Jay Williams' mainframe, and then I actually am able to see it, and even that is easier than actually watching it on either the godforsaken and blacked out MLB.com app, and it's easier than trying to watch it on YouTube TV because it's not there. And I'm not gonna get a different program. I'm not gonna get a different TV provider to watch the Royals lose 100 games. So, kiss my ballies. I'm not doing it. I should have said ballies there, probably. It would have been slightly low. You know what?
I liked it.
Manscaped.com, promo code ALMOST for 25% off and free shipping. 20% doesn't matter. It's a good deal.
You get money off your ballies.
Yeah. Support the good ballies. Manscaped.com, promo code ALMOST. Anyway, Beards, I want to talk to you because I haven't talked to you in like a week and a half or whatever it's been. So you and your wife, weird.
You got married?
Weird. Yeah. We weren't gonna tell you. You know what? I'm gonna start with the first thing that I noticed today.
Oh, today. Okay.
The first thing that I
thought you were
noticed
going
today.
somewhere else.
Oh no, we're gonna have to redo a lot. This first hour is gonna have a lot of.
I thought we were gonna talk about the wedding day.
Oh, we'll get there. We'll definitely.
I may have not known he got married because it was a little dicey.
It was a little dicey. No, we'll come back around on that. The first thing I noticed today, and actually, yeah, I'm going to even go back farther. There was a picture that was tweeted out, spoiler alert, from you, holding the Space Coke.
Yeah.
Did you get to bring that home, by the way?
Yeah,
Did you bring
I've got
home
the
a
bottle.
bottle of Space Coke?
Yeah,
Excellent.
I've got the bottle.
Excellent.
Goes on his first trip by himself, and now he's out here doing Space Coke.
He's doing, dude, Space Coke is bleeping crazy. Dude, you ever done Space Coke? Woo!
Go to Florida, and Florida man does Space Coke.
That's right. You have to go to Florida to get the Space
Florida
Coke.
Beards does Space Coke.
Did Space Coke, 100%.
I don't know about did. I think he does.
Is still actively doing
I
it.
think he, yeah.
The bottle
I think
is currently empty. I'll need to refill it with some.
I think once
That's
you
tough.
start doing Space Coke, I don't know if you stop.
That's a great point.
I don't know.
Once you pop, you can't stop. Space Coke. But you posted a picture of the Space Coke bottle. If you guys don't know, it basically looks like a space grenade with some like Star Wars language on it, but you can tell by like the shape of it all and the coloring, it is Space Coke. It's incredible branding. Coca-Cola has incredible branding, which also Beards is repping right now. We'll get back to that in a minute as well, because I have some questions about your Coke experience. Beards did a lot of Coke in Florida, and I think maybe Georgia. Is the museum in Georgia?
The factory plant, I think, is. We drove by it.
Okay.
Yeah, the factory
Is that where you
plant
got
is down in
the
Georgia.
shirt you're currently wearing?
No.
Where
Well,
does that come from?
That was in Disney World, right? Or
So
that
yeah,
area.
Disney Springs. They've got the giant Coca-Cola store there.
Oh, okay. I thought you guys made
And
a
that's
pit stop.
that's where I got the other one. That's like the green one that has like the glass Coke bottles on it.
Okay, got it.
Did you go to the NBA store? I don't know if they still actually
It was
have it down
closed.
there.
Oh, heartbreaking. Dude, Beards could have done Space Coke and gone to the NBA store in the same week. Are you kidding me?
I was there when I was like 15, and they had one of those deals where it's like they had the imprints of a bunch of NBA players' hands. It
Yes.
was like you put my hand into Shaq's hand, and
Yep.
Shaq's hands. It's like 6 times. It literally like 6 of my hands can fit in Shaq's hands.
So Beards
Wow.
posted this picture of him holding Space Coke. And I saw Platinum Sombrero on Twitter. Very good Twitter account. They retweeted it saying something. I don't remember what it was. What I do remember is going through, in a very short period of time, going through the process of seeing it. I did not see that you had tweeted it, Beards, originally. So I saw the retweet, and I saw the picture, and I was like, oh, yeah, it's Space Coke. I remember people would tweet about Space Coke whenever it opened. Oh, yeah, Beards is there right now. That hand has a ring on it. That clearly is somebody else. Weird. And then I went and saw that like it was clearly your tweet.
Mm-hmm.
All that happened very quickly, but it was distinct. I was surprised to remember that it was you that had tweeted that because you're wearing a wedding ring. Here's the other thing. And you're gonna have to like post evidence of this on Twitter or something. Beards' wedding ring is super cool. And I've never seen Beards wear a watch. Maybe two times in my life.
I quit being a watch person in like the 9th grade.
I have not
I couldn't
seen
do it
you
anymore.
wear an accessory other than a baseball cap.
Yep.
Ever, I don't think.
Yeah.
Which is fine. That's just your. That's not a
aesthetic.
critique. It's just the person that I've known all of this time.
Yeah.
I'm a very heavily accessorized person. People know this. So
Lots of rings and fancy stuff.
yeah.
Sweatbands.
Yeah, with sweatbands, shooting
Yeah.
sleeve, 2-leg sleeves, 100%.
Mm.
2 headbands also. It's
Gotta protect those shins, man.
I wear the mask now during the show just as an homage to Broken Nose Devin Booker. It's been weird to just see Beards wearing a ring because that is so out of, and I never realized how jarring it would be until now I see that it is. But it's also then upon further review, seeing it today, I got to see like the top of it, and it's like a flat top with like a squiggle kind of thing in the middle and a diamond in there. And then upon further review, it's like half gold, half silver with the diamond kind of off center in the middle with the squiggle separating them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really cool. And then you told me why it's so cool.
It was my grandfather's.
Not Beards' choice or fashion sense, but your grandpa's.
Yeah.
Who apparently had a great fashion sense. And it's like kind of timeless, but it's a little bit, there's a little spark to it. Anyway, it's been jarring now like 10 different times, and it will probably continue for a while because it is so weird not only to think that you're wearing any form of accessory right now, but to think that this studio control room area right now has exactly 1 diamond in it, and it's on Beards' hand. It's just shocking. I would have guessed that I would have had one implanted in my forehead like Lil Uzi Vert before I would have guessed that Beards would be voluntarily wearing one.
Yeah.
Like, and if Rudy had like some sort of chain or like a ring, it would be like, whoa, Rudy stepping out today. But it wouldn't floor me. Mm-hmm. It just happened again. I'm looking at it. Beards just scratched his other arm with his ringed hand, and it was jarring to me. So that's been just today.
Yeah, I really thought, because we talked about this at some point while he's gone, like, is he gonna not wear the ring when he's at work, maybe? Like,
yeah, I thought he was gonna be like a Quelo ring guy for sure.
And that's kind of, I thought it was gonna be, and definitely like, more of a band than an actual ring, right? Like, there's no diamond on it. It's just, it's just a little
gold band would have been my second guess. I would have gone like silicone, guess 1, gold band, guess 2. This would have been,
I think guess 1 would have been like, destroyed droid parts.
Yeah, sure.
Around the finger.
Beard's not
the one ring.
The one ring would have been on the board somewhere for sure. I would have guessed, honestly, I could have seen a world in which Beards was like, and maybe this is still in the cards for the future. I don't know. But I could see you getting to a point, Beards. I want your feedback after I throw this out there. Okay. But it would not have surprised me either. It would have surprised me a little bit, but less than your current ring does. If you would have said, I don't want to wear a ring, this sucks, can we just tattoo a band on my finger? Because that's a thing that people do. Mm-hmm. People do that.
Beards with a tattoo just doesn't feel right.
Beards with a ring feels even crazier. And I'm talking like a simple band tattoo around the ring finger.
I see him more as a ring finger than a tattoo person, because
the tattoo thing is so utilitarian in that sense, though.
They don't feel good when they're going on.
It'd be really small. It'd be really small.
Yeah, but I don't see Beards going the tattoo route.
Anyway, those were all things that I would have guessed before I would have guessed your grandpa's dope-ass ring with a diamond in it. Like, it just really could not have been more shocking to me. How has that gone? Has this been a weird adjustment for you? Can you think of the last time in your life that you've worn a ring?
I've got a class ring from high school that I think I've worn like twice.
Right.
And by that, I mean, like, I put it on my finger and was like, okay. And then it was like 5 minutes later, I was like, okay, I'm done.
Yep.
And, like, that's basically been it.
Does that surprise me?
Yeah. No, I'm not a tattoo person. So.
I didn't even go with the, I never got a class ring. I was just like, I'm never going to wear it. Why would I waste money on this?
I got a ring pop. I was homeschooled.
Well, I was going to say, you're homeschooled, so.
I used that ring pop the same number of times Beards used his class ring. I ate it.
Still
Beards
has
put his
it.
on one time. I ate mine one time. No, it's gone. I just enjoyed it once. Like Beards enjoyed his class ring once. I'm sure mine was cheaper.
I think I know where it still is.
How has the wedding ring experience been? Has it been weird? Is there an adjustment period?
Oh, it definitely catches me out of the corner of my eye sometimes. Where like, I'll put my hand up on my face, kind of like this or whatever, and I'm like, oh, there's a gold thing on my finger.
Is it comfortable? Like, does it bother you?
No, I mean, it's been fine so far. Originally when my grandfather had like little knuckle guards or whatever on the inside of it. So like, cause like he had.
I don't know what that means.
There were there were 2 little bumps on the bottom on the inside because he had like a skinnier finger, so like the knuckle, it would keep it from sliding off.
So it wasn't like it wasn't like brass knuckles.
Right.
No.
Gotcha.
It was basically to tighten it.
Correct.
From underneath. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
And like originally when we gotten it resized, I was like, oh, okay, it fits pretty good. We'll take it down like half a size or whatever. And then they took it down half a size, and with the knuckle guard still on there, I was like, oh, I can't get this off of my finger. So I had them go back and take the little guards off. But like, it's been fine. It's definitely weird. I'll go to wash my hands and be like, yeah, I'm going to take this off and put it in my pocket because I don't want to get it wet. So, I don't know.
You're going to have to let that go soon. Because
Probably.
it's fine. It's not going anywhere. It's not going to get rusty. That looks like good stuff. And have you seen Stuart Little? Have you guys seen the film Stuart Little?
A long time ago.
It's been a very long
time, but I have.
I remember very few things. I remember, though, that the mom
adopted a mouse.
Yeah, they went to go adopt the child, and they ended up adopting a mouse.
Like, I don't know what's more shocking to me, the fact that this mouse could talk, or the fact that the family thought to themselves, you know what, we wanted a full-blown kid, but we're gonna take a mouse.
I just Googled average lifespan of a mouse, and it says 5 to 7 years.
I mean, you're just asking for heartbreak.
Could you just adopt
that kid?
Human being?
That kid was like what, 7 at the oldest?
Probably, which also means they took Stuart Little at the end.
So by the time he's 12, he's lost a brother.
Long dead. Long day.
That kid is
'Cause how old is
traumatized now
Stuart
for the rest of his life.
Stuart Little is fluent in English
Now
at that
here's
point.
the real question: does the brother of Stuart Little view Stuart Little as a brother or as a pet that can talk?
I don't know.
I mean,
Because
think
those
in
are
the
going to be
movie-
two very different.
For sure. I think in the movie they became
reactions.
brothers.
I'm sure that was addressed in the film, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't remember it.
But the point being, that kid, by age 12, had suffered enough trauma that he was growing up to do space coke. Good job, Disney.
I don't think it's a Disney film.
Eh.
Is Disney
Are we
responsible
sure
for
about
Space
that?
Coke, though? Because they have Star Wars now. Space Coke wasn't a thing pre-Disney buying Star Wars. Yeah, I don't think Stuart Little was a Disney movie. I'm pretty confident. Rudy's going to Google it. The real point is that one of the very few things that I remember from Stuart Little is that the mom takes off her wedding ring when she's washing dishes, and it gets knocked into the drain, and they take Stuart Little, their child presumably at this point, and put him on like a piece of like string and lower him into the garbage disposal to get the ring and pull it back out. It's a big stressful plot point, I think, within the first movie. And that seriously has clearly stuck with me now for the better part
Yeah.
of 15 years or something.
Thanks a lot, Columbia Pictures and Sony.
Sony.
That movie had a budget of $105 million.
Really?
Box office,
Oh.
300.
I was gonna guess 3 or 400. That's exactly what I was
I
thinking.
mean, it tripled.
1999. I might have been carrying this memory
The
for 20 years.
screenplay was written by M. Night
What's his last name?
Shyamalan.
Nope. Wow. Yeah, I did
So
not.
now
That's the biggest twist of all.
Now it makes sense because in the director's cut, the kid watches Stuart Little die and does space coke.
The real twist.
Wow.
The real twist is that they're all mice, and they end up adopting an adult child or a human child.
Whew, that would have been something.
They make it. I definitely
There's
remember
the sequel.
Stuart Little
M.
2.
Night Shyamalan.
Stuart
Yeah, there's
Little,
Stuart Little 2 and Stuart Little 3
it
called
looks,
The Wild.
It looks like Stuart Little 3 might have been fully animated. It was
Yes.
direct to video
Yes.
computer
The
animated.
Stuart
film.
Little 2, though, was an actual. It had Michael J. Fox,
As the voice of
He's
Stuart Little.
Stuart Little.
Hugh Laurie. He's the
He's the dad.
Gina Davis.
I
There's
don't
the mom.
believe.
What's
It doesn't
George
look
Little
like
gone on
M.
to
Night
do?
was involved with this at all.
I'll put out a poll question at JB Brisco on Twitter. Did you
Yeah,
know that M. Night
screenplay-
Shyamalan wrote the screenplay to Stuart Little?
The screenplay was by Bruce Joel Rubin, which sounds familiar, but I don't know why.
Not to me, it doesn't. We're good. We're safe on that one. I don't know. I don't know who that is.
He won an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay for the movie Ghost.
I want to point out very quickly.
I know the movie Ghost.
The
That's why it
first
sounds familiar.
Stuart Little movie lost in the Academy Award for Best Visual Effects.
Damn, they made
To
a
the Matrix.
mouse. Oh,
So-
that's a tough one, dude.
You know the Patrick Swayze Demi Moore movie where like Patrick Swayze is the ghost.
It's
That's
Ghosts?
that's Bruce Joel Rubin. He did that. He made that movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was gonna say I know that name sounded familiar.
There's some people being kind of odd on Twitter right now, and I don't necessarily
it's
want to.
Shocking.
Isn't that stunning?
I'm stunned.
The Royals being this terrible is doing things to people. That's all I'll say for now. We'll
You'll
talk
like
about that
this,
more with
Beards.
Lesky later.
Rubin's son, Joshua, has won awards writing for major video games like Assassin's Creed 2 and Destiny.
Okay.
Thanks to Caden Gets the Show on Twitch, by the way. He said he's going to gift a sub for every Suns win in the finals.
So only one. The Time Traveler's Wife. That's where I really know this guy. I love that movie.
Beards, how was your trip? How was your experience? We saw you tweeting out your lightsaber making experience.
Yeah.
Walk me through that specifically, and please take some time to address the color choice that you made and walk us through the logic of that. Go ahead and walk us through your
Okay.
lightsaber making experience.
So we had booked reservations like basically a couple days before we didn't realize we needed them, and then it was, oh hey, we need these. So there were two openings that came up during the day. One in
To go make a lightsaber?
yeah,
Got
one
it.
in the kind of morning, and then one later in the afternoon. Rebecca ended up going first. So what they do is
Oh, so you went in two different times. Can you tell us really quick what her lightsaber just ended up being? What was her end result?
she had hers was purple.
That's what I would have done in the heat of the Suns in the finals. I was hoping that you would make a purple
Yeah.
one. So Rebecca clearly already winning again.
So what they do is you go.
Excuse me, sorry. Mrs. McFly. I apologize. Won't happen again.
when you go up there, they have 4 different classes that you can kind of choose from. I don't remember what a couple of them are, but it's like you get a certain number of parts in there.
Can you give me an example of the classes or tell me which one
I picked Elemental, as did Rebecca.
Okay.
So, like, mine is kind of got like a wood finish to it with a little bit of leather in there.
The handle, you mean?
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
You control the elements.
Yeah.
You're the last airbender.
Exactly.
You're
Yeah.
the last light bender.
Like power and defense, defense is another one. Then there's like power and control, and then I don't remember what the other one is, but
I would pick control.
yeah, sure.
Now, how evil are you?
Oh, you have the choice to choose a red lightsaber. But anyway, then they bring out like the crystals, and there are 4 choices that you have: blue, green, purple, and red. And they like present them to you in a big old chest kind of thing, and you get to pick those out, and they're glowing, and it's really cool.
It's very cool.
And then they put the parts out in front of you, and they've got somebody to help you there. It's all in kind of like there's like 15 build slots usually, and they've got a bunch of helpers around. And then they've got like the main person that's in charge of like doing the whole speech
It's leading
kind of thing.
you throughout this
And
experience.
it's a very cool theatrical kind
Gotta
of
be.
experience. It's
Gotta be.
really cool.
Seems
And
awesome.
so you build it. Then there's this little slot by your build station. They put the lightsaber in, and then everybody steps back. There's this big moment. The lights go down.
Yes.
They, builders, grab your lightsabers and turn it on. And then you do that, and the little cover on the slot opens up, and your blade's there. It glows, and then they're like, raise them, and everybody raises up. It's really cool. I thought about bringing it tonight. I might do that Friday.
You should definitely bring it in sometime
Yeah,
soon.
it's dope.
definitely.
It's dope.
How
I
m-
chose green.
Yeah, so walk me through your thought process there.
Celtics.
No, not really.
Wouldn't hate that
Oh,
logic. What would you pick, Rudy, with those 4 colors? Green, blue, purple, red.
I probably would have went. I would have went blue or red.
Blue would be Nuggets colors. We could
Yeah.
all do basketball team lightsabers.
Yeah.
I think I would have gone purple or red outside shot of blue. I would not have gone green.
Blue would have been my main choice, with the option though of being like, hey, there's probably a few people here that are going with the dark side. So I'm gonna go. So I'm gonna rock with the dark side.
Yeah, what was the mix of the 15 or so?
I would say in Rebecca's and then in the one that I did, there's usually like 2 or 3 usually that go with red.
Oh,
that's what I was
what
gonna
it
kind of
be.
And then,
Yes,
of course, the person that's in charge always likes to make a comment. It's like, oh, of course, there's usually a couple in
yeah,
here.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
And I don't know why she's
Some
green.
people
I just
want
like
to watch the world.
like a
bud.
lot of the characters I liked in Star Wars, Yoda, Qui-Gon, all that.
Was that Bill Clinton?
They
was
had
Alfred.
green lightsabers.
Say that again. Sorry.
Like Yoda and Qui-Gon and
For sure.
some of the
Yeah,
characters
yeah,
I like,
yeah.
they
Yeah,
all
yeah.
had the green lightsabers. And
Absolutely.
it's like everybody, it seems like, is always just like the default is blue.
I think it is.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no, I kind of want to do green, and it fit with like the lightsaber that I had built.
Yeah.
So-
I
And then
think
purple
that
was,
choice.
I forget the character
Mace
name, but
Windu,
Samuel,
baby.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, which was Samuel L. Jackson.
I think that picking the lightsaber color based off the characters that you like makes all this. I think that's
Absolutely,
probably what
yeah.
everyone's
I kinda-
doing subconsciously.
I kind of wish they had a couple more options in there as well.
Something wonky.
Oh, like
Yellow.
yellow's one that's come up a couple of times.
Also, just because it's not in the movies doesn't mean that color
No.
doesn't exist in the universe, right?
Yeah.
No, I not necessarily yellow, but like in theory, the color, I don't know, pink, right? Or orange.
Mhm.
Just because it's not in the
Somewhere-
movie doesn't
somewhere
mean
in
the
it's not
books, I'm sure that,
somewhere
right.
in the world.
So there's the Star Wars game that came out a couple years ago, the Jedi Fallen Order, where
Yeah.
you can collect lightsaber parts. And
Is
a lot
that game good? I haven't. I
Yes.
think my brother
It's
let
good.
me download
It's
off his
good.
account or something.
And you can also choose like your own lightsaber colors that you can find out in the wild as well.
that sounds
And there's a
very
bunch
fun.
of different colors as well.
They also
and
did like
a lot of
motion
them.
acting, so like the main character looks just like his real life actor. So it's
Mm.
really those type of games
It's a good-
generally look beautiful because a lot of effort is put in.
It's a good game.
You were saying something else.
Yeah,
Pierce.
sorry about
Oh,
that.
just like how a lot of the parts in that game are also ones that you can choose from for like build your own lightsaber.
That's very
It was
good.
a really cool experience. and I'm
You had
glad we did
kind
it.
of, in a way, done your homework. Like you were,
Yeah,
you were,
kinda.
you were,
Oh,
you were
you were
probably
ready.
yeah,
more
yeah,
prepared.
like
just
the lightsaber that
from
I have
playing
in the game is like the
yeah.
one that I kind of built there. It's like
Yeah.
the style that I like. Yeah.
I think that's great. You guys did not make a droid, right?
No, that's a whole other thing.
What do you mean?
That's so like you can do the lightsaber. You can
Yeah,
also
yeah,
you can
yeah.
also do the droid thing, but that's a whole different experience and like that's I think more money.
Absolutely more money.
But like
for
we
sure.
walked in there, it is really cool. in there.
I only even ask because I generally have very little interest in like amusement parks. I just don't. It's not a
Yeah.
thing I really am that excited to do most of the time. I don't really care about Disney World from a distance. I've never been to Disney or Universal or whatever.
It's cool to do it once, but like I'm it's not like there are people I know people who go there like all the time.
Rebecca's family goes to Magic Kingdom a lot.
And I enjoyed doing it once when I was like younger and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not something I need to do a bunch, but there's some enjoyment.
I'm sure I'll eventually end up going. But all that to say, Galaxy's Edge does tempt me.
It was cool.
And the lightsaber thing, I still have. This is a even further rabbit trail off of this, which is incredible. But whenever I was probably like 8, we'll say 8 to 10 years old, be good for the brand. Let's say when I was 8 years old, like the only thing I remember spending money on, I don't remember how it was, I don't know if it was Christmas money or chores or allowances or whatever, but one of the only things I spent money on that I can remember now was lightsabers. And then I would, we would have a whole bucket of them, and then the neighbor kids would come around and have lightsaber fights in the cul-de-sac. When I'm again, like 7 or 8 years old, while the prequels are coming out. And all of those are long gone. They're all long gone gin. And...
Terrible.
Could you see me go back for the joke after I realized I had passed it? Because I could feel the bleep eating grin on my face.
Sighed.
So those are all long gone, except my favorite one, which was my Obi-Wan one with the handle. That every aspect of that handle is my favorite of them. But I have that lightsaber. I think if I had to choose right now, if I was teleported there, I think I would go make a droid. Because it just seems like having a custom droid built by my own hand and my own pieces and everything. Statistically speaking, someone else would have built that exact same one at some other time. But that is super appealing to me.
For sure.
And... I kind of do. I am at least interested in Galaxy's Edge, largely because of the lightsaber droid thing.
It has that different aspect that most
idea.
amusement parks don't have, where you do get it like you're not just riding rides, and I mentioned you're taking something physical home.
I'm also a
there were a
huge
lot of people walking around the park with. They give you like a sleeve to carry it in afterwards.
So good!
I imagine the quality's pretty good.
Yeah.
People everywhere throughout Hollywood Studios just walking around, and they had just the lightsaber sleeve over their shoulder, and I was like, I'm gonna do that soon. I'm gonna do that.
That's really
because it's not just like a plastic lightsaber where you do the thing and then it comes out,
no,
but it
it's metal.
breaks. And it like breaks
the hilt
in
is
6
metal.
months. But yeah, like it is a
It's got some
quality
weight to it.
It is a quality product that's going to be there that's going to be in
We're
good shape
hanging
for a
those
long
somewhere.
time. Yeah.
I am legit. Oh, that's a kind of a fun idea.
Yeah, we're hanging those.
Like you would hang a katana or something. Yeah, but you have to be able to take it down. It's got to be somewhere that you can.
course.
It can't be like you can't like screw the mounts on it or whatever. You got to be able to take it down.
Oh yeah.
Because maybe you guys have a disagreement and you decide, hey, you know what? The best way for us to solve this honorably, we have a lightsaber fight. Winner gets to choose. Anyway, so how was the rest of Galaxy's Edge? We've talked to various people who have done it on the show, but you're the first one to actually go do it.
It's really cool inside there.
Like just the sort of the
just like
Star
the whole
Wars
aesthetic,
world build up. Yeah.
Like there's a ship that's over there, and like the stormtroopers will come out of there, and they'll just kind of stand around, and they're very snarky, and they'll just kind of stand there. You can take pictures over there with them. I don't know how much of this has changed since like COVID or whatever, but like Chewbacca and Rey came out, and they were kind of like above everybody else. I've seen videos and stuff before, like people were like walking up to them and being able to take up close pictures.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the case there. The cantina.
Wookiees are so hard to vaccinate. People don't know this, but Wookiee DNA is a whole different animal, no pun intended.
Well, and also like they're willing to get vaccinated, but like you're just trying to get through the fur.
That's right.
And that's right.
You're breaking needles there and everything.
It's just a challenge.
There's a lot of cool stuff in there.
The language barrier is obviously also a problem.
That's true.
We did not get a chance. So I think we're really only 2 rides that are in there. And just due to like time constraints of having to be there a certain amount of time before the lightsaber thing, or just the wait time was too long. Like I wanted to kind of do the Millennium Falcon thing, but like it was either 80 plus minutes or 55 minutes, but I had to be at the lightsaber thing in an hour.
Yeah.
So we didn't get a chance to do that.
You didn't do either of the.
No.
I don't know,
the other one is like Rise of the Resistance or something.
It's something based off the sequels, the recent sequels, right?
I think it might have been closed. I'm not 100% sure. And then it opened back up later, and it was like an 85-minute wait time.
So this is the other thing about all of the amusement park things. You know what I don't like? I don't really like walking like just through heat for no particular reason.
Yeah.
Oh, and it
And
was humid.
And
Well, yeah.
And then it
Florida
rained.
humidity is a
two of my least
it's different.
two of my least favorite things I think in this world are being out in miserable weather and waiting in lines. And you might be able to figure out why I'm not that excited about Disney World.
Can I
as
give
a
you a
concept.
tip? So I've been to Disney World, Universal twice. Once when I was 11, once when I was 15. And in both instances, it worked out pretty well. Like we never really had to wait. Like I would say, like a super. I don't remember having the feeling of having to wait like a super long time in line. But I distinctly remember the first time I went, and this is a hint if you don't want to deal with lines, is one, we were able to buy a fast pass, but we got here's the thing. We bought the fast pass once we were in there because the family had to get out of there, so they sold us the fast pass for like $20 a pass instead of like paying more prices.
Sure.
Also, if you go after major world events that are generally not good, so like the first time I went was in October 2001.
No, you've told me this and I forgot about it.
It was very empty, man. And this is when we got the fast pass, so we were not waiting. You didn't need the fast pass to not wait in the line, but we were definitely not waiting in any lines.
What about what happened the second time you guys went?
The second time, if I remember right, I just think it was just. I feel like we must have had a fast pass because I just don't remember ever waiting in line that long. Like I remember waiting in lines, but never for a crazy long amount of time. So I'm assuming we got it, but I feel like my second time was just like the average experience.
It wasn't
there's
just immediately after like a huge hurricane or something, though, right?
No.
Okay.
And there were some fun rides. The Jurassic Park one's cool because like I thought I was about to get eaten by a dinosaur,
That sounds
and
fun.
then you crash down into the water. That's fun. The Spider-Man one was fun, but I think I've only ever done I've done Universal and MGM. I don't remember anything about MGM though, but Universal is pretty cool.
The lines for us weren't too bad. Like the first time when we first went into Hollywood Studios, they have like the Toy Story.
Can you explain what that means?
What do you mean?
It's Hollywood Studios.
Hollywood
There's
Studios
like-
is one of the different parks. So like
Yeah,
there's Magic
okay.
Kingdom, which is the big one that everybody goes to.
Okay.
There's Hollywood Studios, which is like more movie stuff. That's where Star Wars is.
Yeah,
There's like
Got it.
Animal Kingdom, which
Universal.
is a big zoo.
yeah.
Universal's over in Orlando.
MGM is also in Orlando.
But the
Yeah.
ones
It's
that
right
you're
next
just
to
talking about are all
Universal.
Disney. They're
Correct.
under the Disney umbrella.
Yeah.
So-
well, that's what Universal and MGM are all.
So
under.
in Hollywood
They're all
Studios,
Disney.
there's
What?
the
No.
what?
No.
What?
No.
What?
What?
I don't know.
Universal Park.
Or what?
Universal Park is owned by Disney.
It's
in
not
MGM.
in. It's not in Disney.
No,
World,
it's not. It's they're all right there, but
Disney doesn't-
they're all their
Hold
various
on.
parts.
Does Disney own Universal? What?
I don't think so.
No.
But Universal Park is like
Is
But you
in
said it's
Orlando.
like Jurassic Park and stuff. Those are Universal movies.
Universal.
Yes, but
Universal
they
Park
are-
is in Orlando.
Yes.
It is not in
Orlando has
Disney
nothing to do
World.
with this. No,
No.
you're right. You're right. It is a physically separate.
Are they? I always thought Universal Park was all and MGM were all part of Disney Park. I know they're not. Disney doesn't own them. I just assumed there was just some. They just all. did
No, I
this
think
together.
it's just they're all right there.
I think those are. I think MGM
it
and
might be.
Universal might be together on some level.
If it is, I know Universal
they're
and
Disney
MGM are
affiliated.
the same because they're literally just right next to each other. I just
Yeah.
assumed Disney owned all of them.
I think Universal and MGM are probably their thing to what
Gotcha.
Hollywood Studios, Animal Kingdom, Disney, proper Disney.
Epcot's the other
Epcot.
one.
Okay.
I just kind of assumed that Disney owned all of them.
No, because Universal
Yeah.
has their very. That Universal
or Disney
is,
ran all of them at the very least. I just assumed they were
But
all
Universal's
just, yeah.
like Jurassic Park,
Well, yeah,
Harry Potter.
I know that they're different.
Despicable Me. I don't know.
I
What
know
else
like
other
they're
than what I can
different
think of.
movies. I
Shrek?
just assumed.
No, it's DreamWorks.
Shrek is DreamWorks.
I just assumed it was like
there a DreamWorks
Universal was
I
like,
don't
hey
think so.
Disney, you have an amusement park. We don't know what we're
Oh,
doing
I see.
there. Can you help
I think.
us out?
I think they're.
But they probably are.
competitor,
They very
I
well
think.
could just be very different things.
I am deeply out of my depth on
Yeah.
this one.
But anyway,
I mean, I am too.
so we get there and there's like the Toy Story Park. We get there at like 9 or whatever in the morning, so kind of close to when it opened up. There was a line coming out of the Toy Story Park for the Slinky Dog roller coaster that, I kid you not, started at the roller coaster, came all the way out of there, then came back to like the entrance of the park almost. That was about 400 people deep. And we walked by them and then went into this other ride that was a like 3D kind of shoot 'em up thing.
That sounds fun.
It was awesome. And we literally like walked all the way throughout the little place where they have you walking, and then just like got into our thing. So rides were kind of all over the place.
Sounds like it. That just
I
sounds
don't
like
think
my
we
hell.
waited for more than an hour at anything.
What was the best ride during your time there?
They are a major
probably the Toy
competitor
Story
of
thing.
Disney.
Interesting.
Probably the Toy Story thing that I was talking
The
about.
shoot 'em up. The
Yeah.
shoot 'em up. What was second?
It was kind of like Haunted Mansion.
Okay.
Haunted Mansion was fun. I
It's
enjoyed
fun.
Haunted Mansion.
Rudy mentioned that.
So I did Walt Disney World when I was 11. I did Universal when I was 15.
World Traveler.
Yeah.
You mentioned though that the best way to make sure there aren't a lot of lines is to just go shortly
Yes.
after a national tragedy. And speaking of people with awesome timing, we'll talk about something else that happened while Beards was gone whenever we come back.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page. You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
Can we make another Tinder for you? And then myself and everyone listening now can help like write your bio and everything.
That's a scary thought.
We can write the replies to stuff for you also.
That's an even scarier thought.
Let your love life be determined by Almost Entirely Sports. Coward.
With Joshua Brisco.
I think this is the future. I think we need to make this happen. This would be great for the show. You seem hesitant, and I can't figure out why.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I'm going to take credit for your, at least so far, successful marriage. We didn't actually do the bit that I wanted to do in the liner there, but we could have, theoretically.
I mean, you certainly haven't hurt the marriage.
I cannot say that with confidence. I feel like at some point Beards.
Pretty confident.
I don't know, man. I don't know what Beard says whenever he gets home. I don't know the mental toll that I'm placing on Beards.
That's fair.
Therefore is, he walks home and he walks home. He's doing space coke, Rudy. That can't be just from his choices. That's partially my fault.
I mean, it's not like he was this like totally normal person before you. Someone tells me
That's fair.
you're the least of the annoyances Rebecca has to deal with.
I'm not the least, but I'm not top 3.
They wanted to go to Beards was telling me how they were going to go to a fancy restaurant, but there was a long line, so they went back to the normal place, and she got like a fancy steak and
Do you want
seafood.
hold on?
Beards got
no,
pizza.
No. I was gonna say, let me tell the story.
You gotta let him tell the story here, Rudy.
So we were wanting to go out on
It's a big party
a fancy
foul.
dinner when we were down there.
But you got pizza.
Yeah, that's it. That's the story.
What would you add to Rudy's Cliff's Notes version of the story?
I
I have so many more questions. I just thought we were going to talk about Nick Castellanos here. We might not actually. Go ahead.
So we were gonna go to a fancy dinner or whatever.
We can talk about Castellanos after we talk to
There
Scott.
was this place that we were gonna go to. We get there, the line is like literally
Balls
out
hit
the
deep
door,
left field.
and we were just like, let's not do this. So we go back. The resort that we were at has
This is mid honeymoon. Yes.
yes,
This is in
the resort
on
has its
Disney.
own restaurant there.
Hold on. I got to call. I'm sorry to now also be the second person to interject in this story. Did something very much like this happen before, or do I just continue to have the weirdest deja vu of all time? Because I would have sworn that there was some like long walk through a parking lot or a parking garage or something that you guys did. Maybe when you were in New York, I guess would have been last time you guys were on a trip.
No.
Boy, I've got a Matrix brain, dude. I would have sworn on a Bible that there was some story where you ended up not going to. Did you guys go to Disney World another time or
Yes.
something? Okay. Did you at some point have a similar experience last time you were at Disney, or am I an absolute kook?
Both.
Yes.
Yes, and okay.
We had gone to the not Universal Studios, but there's like the boardwalk kind of thing or whatever.
Yes.
That's not in Universal.
Yes.
And we had gone and got dinner there.
Is this last time or is this the
That
honeymoon
was the
story?
previous time.
Okay.
I
I think there was something
and we were
in there
gonna go
that-
and like walk through the rest of it, but like she had heels on.
Yes,
and-
I remember being shoes
Yeah.
related. Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm an absolute nut, but not for this reason. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. You can actually tell your story now.
Anyway, so we decide the resort that we're at has a restaurant on it that we'd been to last time, and like when I had that tweet earlier that was like first night on the honeymoon and I'm eating pizza and
Yes.
watching NBA basketball.
Yes.
It's from that place.
Excellent.
And it's a decently fancy place. We got breakfast there one day, and she gets this like steak, and it's got I think like some lobster stuff on it and some salmon. And I turn around to the waiter, and I'm like, I would like a 16-inch pepperoni pizza, please. And let me tell you, it was good.
Honestly, the fact that he only ate pizza twice on this trip,
pretty good.
good Beards.
Oh no, we had it a third time.
Take it back.
Well, listen, when we were at Universal Studios, we had to get lunch, so we went to there was a Muppet section.
But you also went to Universal on
no,
this trip?
no. Sorry, I misspoke. Hollywood Studios. And
This is the real freaking
have-
M. Night Shyamalan
they have
twist,
the
dude.
Muppet section of Hollywood Studios. Rizzo the Rat has his own pizza place. We went there, and let me tell you, it's pretty good.
Now, where was Stuart Little at?
He was not pictured.
Rizzo, but you had some mouse-based pizza though.
It was tasty.
What's Rizzo?
Rizzo the Rat. He's the one that hangs out with
mouse.
Gonzo.
He's the mouse Muppet.
He's
He
a rat.
plays for the
Oh.
Cubs.
He's a rat.
Gotcha. First base.
Makes some tasty pizza, though, let me tell you.
I don't think it's fair that you got to say Mike Maslowski and I said he plays for the Cubs and I didn't get any laughter for that. I don't think that's fair.
Oh, I just got it. Okay.
That was the issue, is that Beards knew who Mike Maslowski was with proper context. He does not know who Anthony Rizzo is. And honestly, I just guessed that he was still with the Cubs. I wasn't 100% sure.
I think
He is.
Pretty good
Yes,
chance.
he is.
Holy smokes.
Whew.
All right, so we're going to hit snooze on our great baseball audio. We'll do that sometime next hour.
I mean, we still got 5 minutes.
Do you want to do this now and then resume Beards' wedding talk after we talk to Scott?
Yeah, we can.
All right, let's do this. Here's my favorite baseball audio.
Home run to right field.
Here's my left field, Beards. Come on, read a book. Here's my favorite piece of baseball audio of all time. Tom Brenneman had a hot mic and said something homophobic, and then afterwards he came on the air to apologize. This is setting up for something more recent if you haven't already heard. This is the original, though.
I made a comment earlier tonight that I guess went out over the air that I am deeply ashamed of. If I have hurt anyone out there,
You have.
I can't tell you how much I say from the bottom of my heart.
You can't
I'm so
say.
very, very sorry.
You could have said.
I pride myself and think of myself as a man of faith. As there's a drive in the deep left field by Castellanos, it will be a home run. And so that'll make it a 4-0 ball game.
Yes, it will,
I
Tom! A
don't know if I'm going to be
4-0
putting on this
game!
headset again.
You piece
I
of...
don't know if it's going to be for the Reds. I don't know if it's going to be for my bosses at Fox. I'm going to apologize for the people who signed my paycheck.
Oh, well, that's an
For
interesting
the
one.
Reds, for Fox Sports Ohio, for the people I work with, for anybody that I've offended here tonight. I can't begin to tell you how deeply sorry I am. That is not who I am, and never has been.
Popped off pretty
And
easily
I'd like to
there,
think
Tommy.
maybe I could have some people that could back that up.
Didn't hear a lot of people backing that up, by the way. Just something I'm thinking about now in retrospect. But, it is what it is. He, again, said something homophobic, apologized to anyone who might have been offended, and to the people that signed his paycheck.
Definitely the people who signed his paycheck.
Them by name. Everybody else,
And he's
bleep it.
definitely never been that person except for the times in which he's been that person.
Right.
But definitely never any other time.
Listen, our own Allie Trost was, she tweeted, open mic on air for 4 straight minutes during the NWSL game last Thursday, Wednesday,
Yes,
something
Friday.
like that.
Friday.
It was Friday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Friday.
Nick. And she was just happy to get through it, not saying any FCC non-compliant words. That's a spot I would not want to be in.
Mm-hmm.
I also, though, can promise you that if my mic's on through the entire next commercial break, you may hear some words that shouldn't go over the radio, but you won't hear anything homophobic because that's not what we do here, Tom. Anyway, that's old news. We've been over that. The Royals just wrapped up their series with the Reds, which is the team that Nick Castellanos plays for, and he came up to plate at the beginning. Came up to the plate at the beginning of an inning. Mike Minor, first pitch of the inning, actually, he ended up causing some trouble with. And here's a little bit of audio, courtesy of Bally Sports.
Well, we're going to tell you about a great man, and it's a loss for the Royals family. This is George Gorman, who passed away at the age of 96. He served our country in World War II. He went to the University of Kansas, and so did his son, Pat Gorman, who's been working for the Royals in the clubhouse for 26 years. Wow. And that was Pat's father. But that's a great life, 96 years. And Pat, just like his dad, went to KU. He also went to Bishop Ward High School.
Oh.
There's a drive into deep left center field, and there's never a great time to eulogize someone during the broadcast, so we apologize for the timing, but our hearts go out to Pat, who's just been a tremendous loyal employee to the Royals for 26 years.
Ryan knew. He knew. He knew. He acknowledged it right away. That is a better way to get around it, to say, Not a great time to eulogize anybody, as there's a deep drive to left center field by Castellanos. That'll make it a whatever game.
4-0 game.
Whew! I think this was a minor league home run, but Nick Castellanos' first professional home run was the day that Osama bin Laden was killed.
I did see this.
So someone else on Twitter found that. Sorry for not crediting them appropriately.
Yeah.
The tweet blew up. Look, man, I'm
Memorable
just saying.
home runs.
I'm just saying that if you have any like big plans and you see Nick Castellanos walking up to a baseball plate anywhere in America, stop what you're doing. Do not do that space coke. Just let him hit, and then resume your day-to-day activities.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Sports Center.
Was frustrating to watch the Suns get 26 free throw attempts in Game 1 of the Finals. ESPN's Brian Windhorst says this is nothing new for Phoenix.
The Phoenix Suns use the foul shot like a weapon. They're the number one free throw shooting team in the playoffs of all time. When you take away the teams that have not just been for 3 games and out. Number one all time. And last night they go 25 of 26 at the line.
Brian Windhorst on Greeny. The Bucks got 16 free throw attempts in that loss, but made only 9 of them. Game 2 in Phoenix tomorrow night. Our coverage at 8 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ABC. Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight in Tampa. After 1 period, the Canadiens and Lightning are scoreless. Tampa Bay trying to wrap up the Cup in 5 games at home. Mets right-hander Jacob deGrom says he'll skip next week's All-Star game so he can spend time with his family and rest up for the second half of the season. The Mets won the first game of a doubleheader in New York earlier today, 4-3. Jeff McNeil with a 2-run walk-off single. deGrom pitched but allowed 2 runs, had a no decision. His ERA is now 1.08, the first time it's been over 1 all season. COVID-19 cases have hit a 2-month high in Tokyo. That could mean a new state of emergency to carry through the Olympics. That could also lead to a reduction or a ban on Japanese fans attending the games.
We're back on Thursday discussing Baker Mayfield's future. What will it take for him to prove that he's the long-term answer in Cleveland? Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin, Thursday morning on ESPN Radio.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
Because a box and one would be paying extra attention to one person while having the other 4 players in zone. But in this case, you would just be ignoring the 5th dog on the court.
With Joshua Brisco.
So perhaps a Barkson one.
It was really my pleasure to join you on the station for the last time in its final episode.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
That's the voice of known dog hater Scott Chasen, who is our co-resident Suns fan. We'll talk to him about the NBA Finals at some point, about the Suns, their place in the Finals, in their really just their path to history that they are so clearly on. But we'll do that after we talk to him about what he does for his real job, which is covering KU basketball. First, Scott, I imagine that no matter what my first question is, you're going to want to push back on me calling you a dog hater.
Yeah, I love dogs. My mom is literally a vet. We grew up with dogs. And actually, Josh, we just put one down recently. It's very hurtful that you would say such a thing.
Yeah, so actually I knew that, and I really wanted to pick at that scab and immediately. I wanted to set a really toxic tone for our entire conversation.
Good. I've never liked you. I think Beard should be hosting the show. And yeah, I mean, that's what I got.
Wow, passing over Rudy has got to be devastating. Rudy, your thoughts that Scott thinks that Beard should be hosting over you?
I would enjoy it more.
I want to talk about plenty of Suns things momentarily, but there are 2 major things around KU right now that I think are super duper interesting that I figured would make sense to at least touch base with you on. But that's all basically coming from the basketball side in the interim, in my mind. With what we've seen over this last week or so, where Remy Martin, who was testing the waters while sort of maybe transferring to KU from Arizona State, maybe going pro, he's coming to KU. Ochai Agbaji has come back. Jalen Wilson's back, right? So at this point, KU's basketball roster, I don't know what you expected those guys to end up doing, but you've got to feel pretty good if you're a KU fan about the absolute gobs of talent that are going to be on this team next year, right?
Yeah, I mean, the transfer portal realistically could not have worked better for Kansas. And I almost laughed because Marcus Carr, who may be the best player considering transferring, he's, close to a 20-point-a-game guy, he just put out, he's either going pro or he's got his top schools. And even though Kansas is now full on scholarships, somehow Kansas made that list.
Crazy.
And I was just whatever Bill Self, Bill Self used to have the reputation for being a great, and I guess he still does, a spring recruiter, second period, that he would go out and land someone that no one thought he could because they'd either develop a great relationship or, the Andrew Wiggins thing coming out of nowhere, or, they find a way to get these guys. And what this has really turned into with the transfer portal and things expanding is you get Bill Self, who, I mean, everyone can agree he's good with media. He's, witty. He's funny. He has good conversations and such. He gets to go to these older-aged college players, talk basketball with them, joke around with them, and be like, hey, do you want to come play for Kansas? And what, we're seeing is a lot of them are saying, yeah, or, going to another prominent school, be it UNC, be it even I guess like a Texas with Chris Beard, you would expect to start having real success. Obviously other blue bloods. So it's worked out great for Kansas. All these decisions pretty much swung, I would argue, the best possible way for Kansas. Obviously, Kansas would be better if Marcus Garrett were taking that extra year of eligibility.
Mm-hmm.
But if that happens, they don't have the roster that they do have now. And I mean, quite frankly, you have to see how it all fits because it's transfers, and Bill Self hasn't really done it quite to this extent before. But if the guys hit at the level they think they do, I mean, they're a preseason top 3 team. Most people have them 2 or 3 that may end up being underrated, going into the year if the pieces do work out like they think.
Which of those various moves, if not by surprise, would you say was most important if you were going to specifically look at the guys who could have been tilting one way or another?
Remy Martin. And I think the reason why is that in basketball, there are certain positions that are like, they're not the most important, but they're kind of like weirdly important. And the third guard is one of them. And, you've got your, starting point man who ideally, that was a struggle for KU last year, but most of the time under Bill Self, it hasn't been. You've got your 2 guard, and if it's a guy like a Malik Newman or when Devontae wasn't the point guard, when Devontae Graham was the 2 guard, I mean, that elevates your team to a new level. But that third guard swings so many games just because, do you have a drop-off? What if someone's in foul trouble? What if someone is injured? And when you add Remy Martin, that shifts the conversation about the third guard to being either Joe Yesufu, who, for all we know, could end up being a starter, DeJuan Harris, Bobby Pettiford. It gives you all these options. Whereas before, one of those guys had to be, maybe the number 1 guard or, the number 2 guard. And so it was just scarier. It was this equation where you didn't know how all these pieces were going to fit. And then you add a guy who was first-team All-Pac-12 2 years in a row. And some people say, he wasn't much of a facilitator at Arizona State, a very valid criticism. Well, hey, go back to his sophomore year when he was playing with good talent.
Yeah.
Dude averaged 5 assists per game. And I think that's a similar role to what he'll take on. I'd be shocked if he averages 20 points a game because they have scoring at every position. They're overflowing with depth. They have a ton of good players and can play 2 big, 1 big, no bigs, depending on what they want to do. But, 12 and 5, something like he averaged as a sophomore, if he does that, that will elevate, Kansas immeasurably. And then all of a sudden you're talking about a guy like, Joe Yesufu, maybe he's the third guard. Maybe, a guy like DeJuan Harris, who, arguably could have been starting on this team. He may not even play. He's going to have to earn minutes.
Yeah.
And so I think it just completely changed the formation, the foundation, everything. And adding a guy like Ochai Agbaji back is great. I think he was pretty close to a coin flip decision. I don't think he did, he didn't do well in the combine scrimmages. I don't know if that made his decision for him, but it sure made his decision obvious about what he needed. And yeah, I mean, Kansas is just loaded now and has tons of talent at just about every spot.
And I mean, you covered I think at least 3 follow-up questions I was going to have for you. So incredibly efficient. It's nice to know that you can still talk about KU whenever we make the time for it. I was really worried for a little while there. But I'm looking at the roster and again, just like you just laid out, I'm seeing a bunch of guys that could be starters on a very, very good basketball team who aren't going to be guaranteed incredibly major roles at this point. Can you speak to what that's going to mean as what you call a good problem in terms of Bill Self making that work, where you have guys who may be seeing some changing expectations for what their role will be? Are we gonna, can I say the P word? Are we gonna perhaps be anywhere near a platoon? Are we going to see just are we gonna see a ton of rotations? Is it going to be a super long bench? Are you going to see guys that are getting totally shut out? Just how way too early, how do you see that unfolding, or at least what's that process of answering that question going to look like?
Well, Bill Self's going to be able to go back to encourage guys to playing a lot harder and fouling a lot more just because they have the bodies to do it. And he's always said that one of the best ways to work out minutes is to have guys who aren't afraid to foul, because it's like, oh, you're in foul trouble? No worries. We got 3 more of you,
Yeah.
and just go to the next guy. Maybe they're not quite as good, but a perfect example is a guy like Christian Brown. If Christian Brown has to play based off what he was last year, 30 minutes a game, it's not terrible. He's a good player. He had some good games. He certainly faded down the stretch, but he had some, pretty good games, good shooting games. West Virginia was one. Obviously, he had a 30-piece, I think, early in the year. He can certainly do that. But if you don't have to rely on him, and you can say, well, look, there's Ochai, there's Jalen, there's Joe Yesufu that I was just talking about. You could play 2 small guards together and, maybe 2 forwards. I don't know. You can mix and match so many different ways. Now, all of a sudden, it's a little bit easier. And I think one of the biggest issues the KU team had last year was just shot creation. And how many guys do you have that can go make a play on their own? Not to, I guess it'll segue well, but not to bleed into the Suns conversation early.
Right.
That's why a guy like Cameron Payne matters so much.
Yeah.
Because even when he's taking mind-bogglingly insane 3-point shots, he can still do it, right? The ball, you don't have to make 12 straight, crisp passes just to get a good post entry and, try something that way. It's like you just got a dude who can go get buckets. And KU has a ton of those now. I mean, Remy Martin is one of them. Joe Yesufu proved to be one of them at the end of last year. The hope with Ochai Agbaji, now he hasn't been that before. He showed maybe some signs of being that late in the year. The hope is he grows into that. The hope is Jalen Wilson goes into that. Obviously, there are a bunch of post guys and big guys too. And then, think about this. They have a bunch of freshmen who are pretty, highly heralded. A guy like Zach Clements, who's maybe the best shooting big man in the high school ranks. KJ Adams, a do-everything kind of 4-man who's like a small ball 4, kind of bowling ball, likes to drive. I think he drew some comparisons to like Mark Vital at Baylor. And again, those guys may not play unless they're good enough to play. So I think the equation just looks so much different from last year's team, which was really, really hard to watch at times, because it was like, what can you do with a bunch of guys who just don't score or need someone else to set them up?
Yeah.
To this year's team where, at least at a minimum, you have a few of those. Truly, I don't know that last year's team had one. Like, Marcus Garrett was not that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Bryce Thompson was not that guy. I don't know that last year's team had one of those guys. If the improvement breaks right and everything breaks right, I mean, this year's team could have 4 or 5 of them.
I love that distinction, because this is, if there was a Josh talks about KU basketball bingo card, this would be the free space, is that everything eventually goes back to Frank Mason. Because for whatever reason, watching him play was like, and maybe it's just a whole series of events, but like, he was one of the early, for me, kind of earlier in the process KU guys where I was like, watching him felt different, and like there was a joy of watching him play basketball, and being able to get to the basket is not the same thing as obviously just being able to create a shot at any point, but that sort of within the scope of Kansas basketball, that changed what I was looking for. And you're right, and again, now we're sort of bleeding back into Remy Martin and everything as well, but like the ability to have a guy who can get to the basket or create his own shot somewhere else or distribute as his best trait, like those, I think all 3 of those things were largely missing from last year's team off the top of my head. And to be able to say, like, basically this entire roster can do that in the 2021-22 season is absurd.
Yeah, well, and again, this is no fault of Marcus Garrett, but it's why it's important that sometimes you do have to lose really good players and change your style to maximize the talent. Because Marcus Garrett did not draw the fear that any of those guys who, might not have been. A good example is like a Tyshawn Taylor. Tyshawn Taylor, especially in his last year, was probably a better player than Marcus Garrett. I think it would be a lot closer than people would think because of how obviously special Marcus Garrett was defensively. And he did a lot of things, toughness, rebounding, leadership, that were really important. But again, when you have a guy like Tyshawn Taylor, now Elijah Johnson can go off and play a great game and help the team to the Final Four because, who's caring about him? Travis Relaford. If you want to put him in the Christian Brown role in terms of offensive, what he was doing in the offensive end of the court, now his lanes are more open. His shots are more open. His driving lanes are there because, again, they're so fearful of, well, do I have to help off this guy or I need to be watching Remy Martin because he can get past his defender and get to the rim. I mean, Frank Mason was that. People remember Frank Mason as a great driver. He was. And yet one of his best traits was if someone went under a ball screen, he was going to pull up from 3. And KU has a few of those guys. But, man, last year they had a bunch of those guys who were timid. and who didn't want to shoot those shots. You know, I think the biggest criticism you can have of a guy like Ochai Agbaji is that it's so cliche to be like, oh, he's too nice. He's always smiling. But, like, in a way that is what applies to his game. Because the best game I've ever seen Ochai Agbaji play, two of them actually. One was at Texas his freshman year, his first start, where he just played like he didn't give a bleep, and everyone else had a bad game, and I think they lost that game. But he scored like 22 points or something like that. He played great because he just didn't care. He was like, no one else has it. I got to do something. And then his game at the Big 12 tournament against Oklahoma, he might have hit 4 threes in a row, something like that, and you see him screaming and yelling, and it's like, who is this guy? And then, you know, you contrast that with what he did at the NBA Draft Combine. He measures great. He has great length. He has a great vertical, 41.5 inches. And then you take that into the scrimmage game, and it's like you need binoculars to notice anything he's doing on the court. Like, you have to be staring at him and be like, oh, he really did, you know, a good job on help defense there, or he really boxed his man well. And it's like, hey, dude, you're trying to make the NBA. Demand the ball and go shoot it. And so I think that's the development for him to kind of join those other guys. But even if he doesn't, I think things will be so much easier for him because Remy Martin is not scared of shooting, and Joe Yesufu is not scared of shooting, and Jalen Wilson kind of showed that at times. I think he'll emerge and develop. You know, this is just his second playing season of college. He was injured his first year. So he's a guy you would expect to make a jump. And if those guys are doing that, then I think your Ochai Agbaji's and your Christian Browns become a lot more comfortable getting theirs too. And that's when I think things start to get scary for a college basketball roster.
I think this team's super interesting. I think that's super interesting. With that being said, and not yet to the sun side. I want to get to the sun side. We're not there yet because I wanted to ask how you've taken in all of the name, image, likeness stuff. Where you know it seemed like an avalanche sort of preparing to fall for a while, but then you get the Supreme Court ruling, and then very shortly thereafter, the NCAA is like, all right, we don't care anymore. Do what you want. We can't stop you. And then it all just starts. And you know, from Mitch Lightfoot on 1-800-GOT-JUNK to Cam Martin's, with all due respect, truly hideous logo and merch. We got to keep working with him. We got to Cam. You can play a few games. We'll help you out. We'll get you a better logo. We can do that. But you know, from the scope of whatever key you guys have done, I don't really care all that much about. But I'm just sort of curious how you've seen it progressing over this last really just week or two, and then what you think it's going to mean going forward. What will people actually notice as this changes college sports?
Yeah, I think people will notice when there's a notable story that it affects something, be it a recruitment, be it a transfer. A guy transfers because he likes, you know, he has these opportunities. He doesn't have those, you know, this, whatever, wherever he is. I think that's when people will notice it. I think what we've seen right now is like, boy, how stupid were people to fear this.
Yeah.
And I guess fear is probably the wrong word. People fear change. People fear, you know, people fear empowering others.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there was just a large sect, I would argue, of the population that was saying things like, and I push back this, I've spoken about this before, but like, you know, well, these athletes won't even understand what to do with it. Or this one's my favorite. My absolute favorite is when they say, well, what's to stop a car company from paying this guy $1 million to make sure he goes to KU? And like, let's think about that for a second. Let's create a person, okay? Can you give me a name, just like a generic name?
Yeah, like Sudi Salazar.
Okay. I'm going to pick another one. I'm just going to pick the name Tom, and that's not in reference to any Tom. It's just the first name that came to mind.
Tom. Salazar.
Tom Salazar. Okay, we have Tom.
Do you have a Tom in your family?
I do not.
Okay, great. We're safe.
Okay, good. All right. We have our local business owner, Tom. Tom sells Hondas or whatever. And Andrew Wiggins.
Tom Salazar's Hondas.
Yes, Tom Salazar Honda. And Andrew Wiggins, the next one, so the second, is really thinking about Kansas. First of all, what incentive does Tom Salazar, our car owner, have to give $1 million to this person? Second of all, what possible return on investment is he getting? You could put Michael Jordan in a commercial for a local Lawrence Honda dealer. And is that $1 million? Like, no is the answer to that. People know what Honda is. Like, it's just so many of these hypotheticals don't even make sense. And then also, let's say the guy wants to do it. Let's say he's a huge KU basketball fan and wants to do it. okay. What is the problem with that? You don't think there are huge fans and boosters everywhere, and
That's
you
right.
don't think that they're not going to spend, let's say, first of all, they're not going to spend $1 million every year to get a guy because they're going, they'll go broke. But second of all, if they did, that would be really great for some people to get some money because people really value them, which is, again, how it works in every other field. If I got out of journalism tomorrow and I started writing articles or something and some company really wanted me to come there and they weren't allowed to pay me, right? Like, that would make no sense.
Right.
They would be like, no, we want you on our marketing team. We're going to offer you more money or offer you a more desirable parking spot. Like, whatever you can. That was the only other thing I could think of in terms of what a business could offer you, but I'm hanging in there.
Sometimes it's really evident that we've had predominantly sports media jobs.
100%. And I don't even have an office to go to. My office is my apartment. So the parking spot is just where this motorcycle is sitting out front and never leaves. So that's my big complaint right now. But it just makes no sense. People are afraid of this because I don't know why. Like, well, I don't want them playing for the money. I want the, look, college basketball, and I say this affectionately as a fan, it's still going to suck. It's still going to be bad. It's still going to be a bunch of guys at times who can't put the ball in the basket, who are just scrapping really hard because they care and they play for their school and the fans are going to love it. Okay, that's why college basketball is great, and I really enjoy it because it's all this emotion and caring, and every game feels so important because if you lose one time, you could be out of the Big 12 race or out of the Big 12 tournament or NCAA tournament. It's not going to become, Major League Baseball with 162 games and half of them don't matter, or playoff series with 7 games. It's not going to become that. So I think you don't have to have that fear, and I think those in power have done a really good job tricking those without power to be afraid of those things. And I think what we've learned is you don't have to. Cam Martin has a clothing brand or whatever. What did that change? Christian Brown sent out interestingly worded statement clearly from a PR team that was like, I will only choose brands that support my teammates and whatever. And it's possible he could have signed with someone. I don't know because it doesn't affect me and I covered the team. Because again, if something interesting happens, I'll write about it. But, what does it matter that Mitch Lightfoot signed a deal with a trash company? Who does this affect? Who does this change other than it helps the athletes? And so I think we should all be in favor of that. Athletes getting what they're worth, getting their market value. And so, obviously, if it hasn't come across, I'm very much in favor of the changes to name, image, and likeness.
The only thing I would even add to that, and something we'll probably talk about more later in the show, is there's the guy in Miami who has the martial arts gym who's offering any scholarship player on Miami football a $500 monthly deal that could end up being $500,000 for this year. By the way, right now, this dude is getting his money's worth because everyone on planet Earth is talking about this story. But also, you say, all right, well, there is a guy paying a huge chunk of money where a little bit of money goes to a bunch of players if they want to take it. College sports has all we've talked so many times about locker rooms with huge TVs in every locker and slides to take you from one level to another. If any money is getting moved around, this dude wants the U to be back. If he could give $500,000 to pay exorbitant prices to some assistant coaches or to put some comfier chairs in the locker room, or he could offer $500 a month to any of the players who want to come and record a promo for his gym. I would rather, just totally personally, because this is the point we're at now, it's just preference, I would much rather see these guys get $500 a month that they can put straight into their pockets than to see $500 a month for each player end up going into the school to pay, again, assistants and locker room perks. Like, I don't see the problem here.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% on board with that. And again, I think it just ties back to this idea that, like, people, for whatever reason, maybe it's their biases, maybe it's, who knows, maybe there are political reasons, I truly don't know. People have feared this, and they have feared the change, and what does this mean? And, look, I think about, again, I mentioned recruitment. If a player leaves your school and goes to another school because they have better opportunities, the person to be mad at is not the player. And you see this in sports all the time. Like, someone will leave Utah and then go to, like, New York. And the city will hold a grudge because Utah's just as good as New York, darn it. And, it's not, but, Utah thinks that. And so I think, like, again, you kind of just have to understand, like, how life works and that people want to be happy. I think me talking to the listener would love if someone were just going to give you $500 to be like, I go to Jimmy John's all the time or I go to Chipotle. I mean, when I walk into Twisted Fresh and the lady thought I abandoned them because I didn't go in for like a month when I was learning how to cook, and like that makes me feel good. I want free Twisted Fresh. Right? I like when they know my order. Like everyone wants that, right?
Yeah.
Like so I don't. It's just funny to me, and not funny. Funny is the wrong word. It's infuriating, probably is a better word. That people are like, no, that's scary. Like, no, that's wrong. How they already get this, they already get that. Imagine someone saying that when your boss tries to give you a raise, and it's like, well, Craig's already making $55K. Like, do we really need to give him another $2K? Like, yes. How about the answer would be yes.
Yeah.
I would like those perks, or I'd like that extra week of vacation, or I'd like that. And so, again, it just seems so crazy and mind-boggling to me that people like fear what they would gladly encourage and want for themselves.
Yeah. Crazy that, there is a large enough subset that thinks, no, that you should not be able to make money if people want to give you money. You should not be allowed to take it. It's wild.
Yeah.
There's some exceptions to that, I'm sure. Also, though, stunning. What do you get at Twisted? I'm so happy to hear literally the only other person outside of my immediate family I think I've ever heard bring up Twisted Fresh just in a conversation apropos of nothing.
Yeah, well, the one here I don't even have to order because they know, but I get a chicken cob wrap on wheat, and then I mix up a bunch of the ingredients. I add cucumber. I don't like bacon. I don't like dressing. It's the whole thing. And so they try to change my order routinely. They try to say, what about this? What about trying this? And I push back on that because I don't need anyone telling me what to do, and I'm a very basic fan of basic taste. And, but it's right by my apartment. Twisted Fresh is amazing. Free ad, free promo, unless they're a sponsor of yours.
They're not, but
I could be.
Love it if they were. I'm a big fish taco guy at Twisted.
I've heard of Twisted Fresh, but I've just never I never know what they serve, so I just typed up the menu, and I am just staring at this chicken cashew avocado wrap.
The issue for us is that the one
Josh,
that's by
I think
the
I'm done
station.
with the show for the day.
That's fine. If you bring back fish tacos, you can leave.
I wasn't coming back.
Okay, well, the fish tacos are incredible, and
wow, the food here looks amazing.
The issue for us, I've had the burger, I think maybe like once. The issue for us is that it's right by Slim Chickens. And so every time I'm sort of over there like, oh boy, I haven't had the fish tacos from Twisted in forever. Then Slim's is right there. And it's tough. That's a tough battle for anybody to win.
Chicken tacos?
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
You just woke up Siri. You were so excited.
Siri's placing orders for me.
Honestly,
you know what?
Wouldn't hate it.
You know what we don't have tomorrow night?
Radio show.
You know what I might get for dinner tomorrow
Maybe
night?
Twisted Fresh.
I go to Twisted Fresh and try it out.
They gotta at least see if they have like a Twitter presence. If they want to, I feel like they could hop on. We gave you some free advertising, Twisted Fresh.
I think we have room for them.
Why don't you? Hey, come around. We'll throw you on the Twitch stream or something.
We might have space for them.
We'll make space for you, Twisted. All right, this has been the end of our conversation with Scott Chasen of Fog.net, 24/7 Sports, CBS Sports Network. You can go to kansas.247sports.com. No, Beards, we're not going to break. Fog.net, though. You follow him on Twitter at Chasen Scott. Thank you, Scott, for joining us. Now we're joined by Scott Chasen, Phoenix Suns fan. Scott! 1-0, baby! 1 down, 3 to go! 1 down, 3 to go, Scott!
Oh, man. See, I wish I were in studio now. I would do the thing where I back away from the mic and yell. And
sure.
I would do it on the phone, but I couldn't then hear feedback and how it's going. No, it's been what a beautiful first game. I actually got to watch it. I told you this with my dad, who is not a huge NBA fan. He's a college basketball fan. And it was very funny to watch, like, the culmination of NBA concepts that we have all seen, like, develop over years.
Yeah.
That, like, Mike Budenholzer and the Bucks are still not aware of somehow, like, slowly take place more and more. And it's like, they were like, oh, we're having a problem that our big man is ending up on a guard when we switch.
Yeah.
What's the solution? Why don't we go to another pick and roll coverage where our big man will end up on a guard, but give him 10 feet of space? It's just insane. I watched Stephen A. Smith after the game. Stephen A. Smith, I find very funny, but also sometimes, kind of makes or stumbles into good points, depending on where he starts. Mm-hmm. And in this case, I thought it was funny. He was like, I want to be nice about this.
Yes.
The Milwaukee Bucks are completely clueless
yes.
and like they should be dropped off a cliff. But I think he was being nice from the perspective of, and I think this is what he meant, because in his line of business, names are everything. I think when he was like, I want to be nice about this, I'm not going to say Mike Budenholzer needs to be fired.
Right.
I'm going to say he's an incompetent head coach. And we have heard, by the way, multiple former NBA players on multiple different networks call the Milwaukee Bucks the dumbest team in the NBA, which is stunning. And again, a referendum on coaching. If you watch DeAndre Ayton in college, he was a horrible defender. If you watched him in his first season, he was a horrible defender. He is now arguably the most complete, not the best, but the most complete defensive big man in the NBA. Obviously, guys like Rudy Gobert, Joel Embiid are better at certain things, but he does more things that allow you to play different styles. Yeah, absolutely. That's coaching, right? Like, that's learning from people. That's learning from players.
Yeah.
And the fact that, like, we're in year 25 of the Bucks experiment, and you have to, like, look at discount Alex Jones, look completely baffled when it mixes up their coverage on the sidelines.
What?
It's insane. It's just insane to me. I don't know how they haven't fired him yet.
He looks like Dana Holgrimson to me, like a bigger Dana Holgrimson, the Houston head coach, but also the Alex Jones thing is.
Does he look like Dana Holgerson? I think you put an M in his name weirdly.
Is it
Holgor?
Holgorson.
Orson. He does look a little bit,
like
but he
definitely
looks
bigger.
He looks like
Dana's
Alex
thinner,
Jones grew his hair out for sure.
That's the much better.
What a call.
Look comp, yeah.
I thought listening to Stephen A. say that last night, I was absolutely floored because that was exactly what he was doing. Is he didn't want to say specifically Mike Budenholzer absolutely barfed on his shoes or whatever, or has not just tonight but has continued to. Like it was shocking. Also, Giannis is not even on the injury report this for Game 2, which makes sense considering he was doubtful at lunchtime before the game yesterday and then ended up playing pretty well. What was your favorite sort of part of the coverage of Game 1? Was it whenever everybody talked about how great Giannis was mid-game, or after the game when everyone was talking about how hurt Giannis clearly was?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I heard I turned on 2 sports radio stations just a little bit ago, and one of them was talking about the legacy of Chris Paul, and then I flipped to the other one, and they were talking about Stuart Little. And so you can figure out
who's to say who's who.
Yeah,
yeah, it's impossible to know. But I will say this: the Suns have definitely got their credit via the Chris Paul. You know, everyone loves Chris Paul, and the story for him is so great. The thing to me that is so funny about the coverage of this and everything, and I think it, and Josh, again, I texted you this too, like, if you go back to Kevin Durant and Steph Curry, and this was well documented in a book that Ethan Strauss wrote, but there was reporting that suggested that Nike executives really wanted Kevin Durant to go to the Warriors, because the reason why Steph Curry and Under Armour, and they wanted him to kind of overshadow Steph, which definitely happened on the court. I mean, who got the Finals MVP? That was Kevin Durant. But also, you know, definitely happened in terms of like shoes and branding and things like that. And when you think about just a horrible, terrible way to form a partnership, whether or not that was a deciding factor, it's certainly one of them. And you can argue, you know, maybe he just joined them because he likes, you know, the Bay Area, but then abandoned it for Brooklyn, whatever. That partnership had flaws at the beginning. Now it was successful because you took the greatest team of all time and added the greatest score in the history of basketball. So of course it was going to be successful, but it also had that kind of like ticking point where it blew up. And I think the reason why Chris Paul is now getting so much love and so much respect, one, because he was in a breakup with James Harden, and I think when that happens, James Harden has been a superstar who's attracted so much negative attention that it almost turned the narrative positive by itself. And then you couple that with he goes to Oklahoma City and turns them into this kind of fun, upstart, up-and-coming team. And, you know, everyone is just on his side now. He's the little guy who fought back against, you know, whatever. Meanwhile, James Harden is eating Chipotle burritos, trying to get himself traded out of a situation by, you know, putting on a bunch of weight or whatever. You know, so, again, I think it was all kind of in the works for people to want to prop up Chris Paul. And then him saying, you know, he chose to go to Phoenix because he believed in Devin Booker. When Chris Paul made the All-Star game and Devin Booker didn't, he said the wrong guy made the All-Star game. And he continued to say that. He said Devin Booker is the team's best player. He is, but Chris Paul is probably the more important guy, especially right now. He's propped up DeAndre Ayton. What he's done for his career. I think DeAndre Jordan called him like the Michael Jordan of people to play with as teammates, or something like that.
That's a good phrase, yeah.
You know, but so it's so easy to root for them and whatnot. And then obviously Giannis on the other side is such a big story. And I know he has definitely gotten the lion's share of the coverage. To me, and this is why I think Tim Legler is one of the smartest people on television. Like how many talking heads did I see last night say, you know, Giannis looked great. He pre-injury saw 20 and 17, you know, dunking on people, blocking shots. I don't know about you, Josh, but, you know, I agree with you. He looked good. He put up numbers. I believe the Bucks outscored the Suns by 1 point when he was on the court. But he did not look like Giannis. He did not attack the way that Giannis does. He was not aggressive. There were times where Devin Booker would get switched onto him and hold him off for about 5 seconds, and then the switch back could happen where Ayton would come back over to him. And an aggressive Giannis does not let that happen. He's in attack mode immediately. And I think injuries are obviously physical, number one, but like 95% of the way there is mental. And so I don't know if it's a physical hurdle. I don't know if it's mental and trusting his injury. Doesn't look like the same Giannis to me. And as long as that's the case, the Bucks are outmatched against the Suns. Now, the healthier he gets, it becomes a very interesting series. And you could argue the Bucks are maybe a slightly better team depending on the injury situations. If he does get healthy. But at least the Giannis I saw last night, he definitely had some big volume numbers. But when he's camping on the perimeter and you can allow a guy like DeAndre Ayton to simultaneously guard him and have 2 feet in the paint to guard everyone else rolling to the rim and get rebounds, it's just not a winning formula for Milwaukee. So they have to figure out ways to really change the game in that regard.
Well, there's the knee. In what regard? There's the knee, and then there's the mental, and also he hasn't played basketball since his knee bent backwards. Part of me hopes that his sort of ramping up is evident throughout the finals, and the other part of me hopes that that's true just really, really slowly. Like that he looks great for like the last, 2 minutes of game 4, and at that point it's already too late. I think that's what I actually hope. Because I don't think my heart could take a 7-game series. I could probably deal with it in 5 or 6. Scott, I will let you go in both your KU and Suns covering form. Did you have a final dismount?
I did actually, which was a beautiful thing about the sport of basketball. Brook Lopez had 17 points. He went 3 of 5 from 3. I believe he was minus 17 in the game. Jay Crowder was 0 of 8, 0 of 5 from 3, and he led the Suns with a plus-minus of plus 19. So it turns out that being tall and making threes are not the only things that matter when you're on a basketball court. I think defense, rebounding, and moving the ball actually matter a little bit too.
Yeah, saying that in front of Rudy is like a personal attack, but that's
Does Rudy like Brook Lopez?
I mean,
pretty much.
I think
I can't tell the difference honestly between Brook
really
Lopez
matters
and Jokic.
Is
basically
having a
the same
team
player,
that
I think,
knows
honestly.
how to flop.
Lopez plays defense, though.
I was going to say Brook Lopez is a better defender for sure, Rudy. That's a good point. Thank you, Beards.
I think the key is just having a team that knows how to flop.
And going up against teams that brutally punch your stars in the face. And yes, that makes campaign one of the
Campaign is
Sun
absolutely
stars.
a star.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a big 4.
I
trademark TM.
I meant what I said.
Created the big 4.
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks, Josh.
Follow him on Twitter at Chasen Scott. If you want more KU stuff, go to fog.net. It's with a P. You know it's PHOG because the KU, you guys get it. But fog.net or kansas.247sports.com. Follow him on Twitter at Chasen Scott. We're going to do just a couple we're going to have some long segments today. I can feel it. This show's going to keep flying by. I don't know what we're going to play whenever we come back. I got more questions for Beards. We've got more Beards wedding talk to revisit. I would like to continue talking about the Suns. That's on the table.
I got to defend Jokic.
The Royals lost again.
You're going to do that during the break, Rudy. Don't lie.
No. Actually, I think the Suns are actually, I heard some stuff on ESPN Daily today that I think is fascinating with the Suns.
ESPN Daily today was fantastic.
Yeah. I think we truly are underselling how, because like you said,
complete they are everywhere. It's everywhere.
Brook Lopez is not a terrible defender. And he looks lost in the pick and roll. They have this Suns team legitimately has one of the best pick and roll offenses that we've seen in a while.
Yeah,
it's almost
blast.
unstoppable.
And also Pablo Torre used the phrase CP3-ologian, and that I literally because Kevin Arnovitz was coming on, he was introducing him as the ESPN's resident CP3-ologian Kevin Arnovitz.
Yeah.
And I literally had to stop the podcast and just sort of give myself a minute.
It was good.
Because of how really mad I was.
I enjoyed it.
I'm
a Suns fan. I'm a Suns guy.
Oh,
Devin Booker, baby.
I'm going to put on a Jamal Murray jersey. I'm going to beat you up in the hallway
did you see
after
that?
this. Yes, the Suns and 4 guy met Jamal Murray.
Yeah. Nuggets took another loss. Nuggets lost in 5 today.
Go put on your Jamal Murray jersey and meet me in the hallway.
At JB Briscoe, at Beards McFly, at Not That Rudy, at Sports Radio 810. Just do it already. This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
How does this beard smell?
I don't know. I don't go around smelling beards.
Does she mean you as a whole person or just your facial hair? I guess we'll never know.
Oops.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Here's a really quick, very serious, very sportsy game before I ask Beards more questions about getting married, talk about Beards' wedding and all that. There is a NFL account tweet where you can only pick one player from each offense from one team in each division. They're doing it for the AFC North. I don't care. But I was doing it for the AFC West. And obviously, you have to take Mahomes.
Carr.
I knew I would have bet
Harrison Butker.
I would have bet my dong that you were going to make a Derek Carr joke before I got to say the quarterback. I would have bet my penis for no reward.
You have two of them. I mean, I don't know if it just doubles.
I don't know. I would have Mike
I don't know if it's
Vrabel.
lower, if you just two of them. I don't know if you get Vrabels. Like, I don't know how that works.
I get Mike Vrabel.
I don't know how this works, but
I would have bet anything that you were going to say Derek Carr. But you're taking Mahomes.
Yeah.
But it's funny what that does to the rest of the game.
So offense, you said just offense?
Quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end. That's what they've tweeted out. And I think the first two picks are Mahomes and Darren Waller.
Mahomes, Waller with the
as
Raiders.
Your Chiefs and Raider.
Keenan Allen, Chargers.
Probably. And then whatever running back the Broncos have right now.
Well, you know what? Reverse this. I might go with then Austin Eckler of the Chargers.
And then like Jerry Jeudy.
And then I could go with either whether it's him or Cortland Sutton. Like those are really good. They got some good receivers.
It's just kind of wild.
Yeah.
The thought experiment was very easy. That I think it's got to be Mahomes and Waller, especially without Hunter Henry now in LA.
Those are the two easy ones. I guess if you wanted to if you were trying, you're going to see somebody say this, where it's like, well, I'll take Herbert and then I'll take Kelsey or Hill with the Chiefs.
I honestly,
and you can. It's not the worst argument in the world. You should go with Mahomes because he's the best quarterback, and you want the best quarterback, right? Like, it's just not the worst argument in the world.
No, I think if you
now,
wanted
if you
to
were
go,
like, I want Herbert and Clyde, no.
You're right. No, that would be dumb. We don't do dumb things in this radio show. I just volunteered my dong for a stupid joke and a bet. But yeah, I think you go Mahomes, Waller, Keenan Allen. Who do the
Melvin? Is Melvin?
Oh yeah.
Who are the Denver Broncos running back right now?
Yeah, I guess it's mostly Melvin Gordon.
I think it was Melvin Gordon.
I really don't.
Right?
I would rather just have the receiver that I'd prefer. So I guess I would do. I would go.
Can I just have Teddy?
I might go Eckler and Jeudy. I don't hate that. I don't know if it's 1 year or whatever. But if you wanted to go Herbert, Hill, Waller, and then
I think it's Hoover.
and Gordon, I don't hate that. All right. Thank you for putting me back in my place. Beards, you got married.
Yep.
What did you think? You just said you thought we would talk about the wedding itself some more. What was it like for you? What was your whirlwind experience like? Go ahead and flash your ring to the Twitch.
It was Melvin Gordon.
Man, let me tell you, both of us are very disappointed we didn't get more of that cake.
Cake was good. This is devastating. There were boxes of it whenever we were leaving. It had been boxed up. I caught it out of the corner of my eye, and I figured you guys were going to get, you can freeze it or whatever. The cake, both cakes were good, and the cannolis were good.
So the thing about the cake is the gal that we got to do it, she said that at the year anniversary or whatever, she will just make us a cake topper for free instead of freezing it and then having
that's
dumb your wedding cake frozen in your fridge for a year.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Cake,
yeah. So your biggest regret was that you didn't get enough cake.
It was good cake, man.
Now, which cake are we talking about? Are we talking about the boot cake or the cake?
Either one.
Did you get any of the boot cake?
That was the lemon.
Okay.
I never tried. I don't think I ever got the boot cake.
Renee and I each got one piece of cake, and then we had a cannoli.
Beards, you like lemon cake?
Yes.
That's shocking.
That is exotic for you.
Love lemon cake.
Wow.
Absolutely. I would have bet my dog. Go ahead.
Do you know what? So there were two flavors that were in the the actual
Beards'
wedding
groom's cake or whatever was in the shape of a cowboy boot.
It was.
And it was decorated as a cowboy boot.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Did you know what the two flavors were for the main cake itself?
There was definitely like Oreo stuff in there, right?
Yes.
It was like a chocolate Oreo. It was delicious.
It was like Oreo and I don't remember if it was like white cake or whatever.
I think it was chocolate cake. Was it not chocolate?
No, that was something else. That was chocolate and the raspberry, whatever. That one was what Rebecca picked out.
That one also
okay, I think that's the
favorite.
one that I had.
That was great. Were there 3 cakes in a cannoli?
Including the groom's cake, yeah. Well, the main cake was like tier. It was like
I
had
might
two
not
different
have
tiers
had
that
the
were different
lemon
flavors.
cake.
I definitely didn't have the lemon cake.
It was so good. It was so good.
Everything
I
was.
did not eat any of Beards' boot. Know that.
The food you guys had in general, I had to lick a little bit of everything because the way it was served. All of it was great.
The cannolis are good.
The McDonald's fast food was great, Beards.
I mean, the food that Rebecca clearly picked out was delicious. All of it.
We had some salmon, and I love that stuff.
It was all.
So
it was.
good.
It was all.
It was all very good.
It
I
was
very
all
happy.
fabulous. What went a little wrong? Was there anything? Something you go, oh boy, that was a one, or almost went wrong. Dodged a curveball. Either hit a curveball, dodged a bullet. Most stressful moment of the was it Rudy getting there after you were already standing up front?
I mean, let's go ahead
So
and go into that.
I think my most stressful moment where I almost dodged, where I did just barely dodge the moment, was showing up right before the best man and the groom's party starts walking down the aisle.
We talked about this a little bit before you got back, Beards, but I would love to tell this story to you as well. So, you know this. I am 5 minutes later to everything that I say I'm going to be.
Yeah.
But I'm never. But it's never that I'm never getting here at 7:05 for 7 o'clock show. But if I say I'm going to get here at 5, that's not going to be whatever it is. I'm always a little bit wrong. Rudy will say he's going to get somewhere at 5 and then get there at 4:30.
Mm-hmm.
You know this about both of us.
Yeah.
Renee and I got there and met the only other people that we knew who were there at that time, other than the family that we'd already met.
Yeah.
But we got there like half an hour. I think we got there like 5:30. Wedding started at 6, I think.
Yeah.
No sign of Rudy, and it's ticking closer, and closer.
Yep.
And at some point in this process, the other people there that we knew, that's enough information, and Renee and I all we got the back row on the left side, and we were all set in, for the actual ceremony.
I have more on this, but can you do your thing?
So we were locked in back there,
I have
texting.
the other side of this discussion.
Cannot wait for that.
This is terrifying.
Waiting for Rudy, and it's not happening. Now, I knew that Rudy was bringing Grace as his +1. I'd not met Grace at this point. I just knew that there was a girl named Grace who was Rudy's +1. And as me and the other person are texting Rudy, like, hey man, are you gonna get here on time? By the way, somebody needs to let Lesky in at some point, and sorry, Lesky, we're really important mid-story. We are waiting for Rudy to get here, and he's like, yeah, sorry, Grace was running late, whatever. He texts the other person, yeah, sorry, my girlfriend was running late. I go, what? I take the other person's phone, and I text Rudy, and I say, this is Josh texting from this other person's phone. Your girlfriend? I'm finding this out through this person's phone? Sitting here waiting for you? And by the way, look, I think one of Rudy's worst traits is that he's always too early to things. So I'm glad that Grace is here to fix this for Rudy's behalf.
Yeah. I'm not thrilled about that part, but yeah.
Rudy slides in at like 6:06. Beards is already standing up there in his big old suit, just getting ready to be married, and Rudy comes speeding in. I am waving him like around third base, trying to show him the 2 seats that just opened up in front of us, by the way, because some family had moved up mercifully. Otherwise, Rudy and Grace were about to be in the wedding party just to get there for the actual ceremony.
Yeah, I mean, there was room for me.
So
up front, in the absolute spotlight.
So we are sitting in the bridal suite, all of us together or whatever, and we had the discussion. We were going to start at like 6, and we see that not everybody's sitting down.
Sure.
Not all the chairs are full yet. So we're like, you know what? We'll give it to like 6:10 or whatever.
6:09 to 6:11, somewhere in there.
So everybody can kind of get in, make
range.
sure that there's no late stragglers, that kind of thing.
Yeah. That's always a good. You want to hit snooze basically on
and
stuff
then,
like that.
So after a couple minutes of that, we're like, somebody comes back and they're like, hey man, all the seats are full. You ready to go? And we're like, okay. So
who lied to you?
Whoever. Okay, so we figured out the culprit here. Whoever told Beard lied to Beard. That's whose fault it is. Because otherwise, I'd been early and been perfectly on time. And this was a mission.
Did you see Rudy walk in?
There's no way he missed. Yeah, there is no way he didn't see me.
What were you thinking as Rudy, the early bird that was the last person to arrive?
I had seen you and the other people sitting back there, and I didn't see Rudy. I was like, okay, sure, fine. And then I see Rudy walking over. There he is.
just my face distressed.
The most out of character moment in Rudy's life.
Who's that next to him?
In the biggest moment in Beards' life, colliding all at once. Somebody go let Lesky in.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Doug Brown, Game 2 of the NBA Finals tomorrow night. Suns forward Dario Saric has a torn ACL in his right knee. He's out indefinitely. He got hurt in the first quarter of Game 1. ESPN's Mark Spears on the influence of Chris Paul on this Phoenix team.
to me, I think at this point in his career, Chris is better with a younger team than an older team because they're willing to listen to his genius rather than think they know everything.
Mark Spears on Chiney and Golick Jr. The Suns took Game 1. Our coverage of Game 2 starts at 8 Eastern tomorrow night on ESPN Radio and ABC. Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final, end of 2 periods in Tampa. The Lightning have a 1-0 lead. The only goal of the game from Ross Colton. If the Lightning hold the lead, they will win the Stanley Cup for the 2nd year in a row. Dodgers lefty Clayton Kershaw goes on the injured list today with inflammation in his left forearm. Right now on ESPN, Dodgers and Marlins tied at 5 in the 8th inning. Nationals outfielder Juan Soto and Rangers outfielder Joey Gallo are the last 2 players named for Monday night's Home Run Derby in Denver. Soto and Gallo fill out the 8-player competition. England beats Denmark 2-1 on an extra-time goal from Harry Kane at the Euros in London. England meets Italy in Sunday's final. Roger Federer is out. The men's semifinals now set at Wimbledon. It'll be Novak Djokovic against Denis Shapovalov, and Hubert Hurkacz, who beat Federer, will play Matteo Berrettini.
We're back on Thursday discussing Baker Mayfield's future. What will it take for him to prove that he's the long-term answer in Cleveland? Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin, Thursday morning on ESPN Radio.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
Spanish porn star Nacho Vidal, who likes to advertise his aromatic candles shaped like male genitalia on Twitter, has been arrested on manslaughter charges following a man's death during a mystic ritual in which he inhaled psychedelic toad venom. I'm just going to ask you, Lesky, which one of those candles you thought had the most pleasant scent?
With Joshua Brisco.
Honestly, I would like to talk about that instead of anything baseball related.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
We had a tough moment coming back from break right here because David Lesky, who is on the show right now with us here in studio, and Rudy Salazar were talking about something, and I was listening to the liner, and so they were talking about a baseball thing. I was listening to a liner about a psychedelic penis mushroom or whatever, and
wow, that was feels like it was forever ago.
Well, because you burned that psychedelic penis candle, and
True.
it's like Beards went and had Space Coke, went and did Space Coke in
They named
Florida.
Nacho, if I remember right.
Well, yeah, I knew that to be true because I heard the liner. It's just really a lot all clashing together.
Yeah.
The good news on the other side of it, we can talk to David Lesky. Hi, Lesky.
Hi. Did you buy the candle?
I don't think we could. I don't think. I'm sure we looked into it, right?
I mean, the amount of times that we forget to look into something that we planned on looking into.
What?
As a guest.
You know what? So Beards, go back in there. Let me know what was his last name. Now he got arrested, so I'm not sure if it's still going to be on the market or not. I'll get on eBay. I'll get on the dark web. I'll look into it.
Well, at the very least, you can kind of buy the Etsy knockoff, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Nacho Vidal.
Nacho Vidal.
I'm sorry. I would love to see the Etsy knockoff. I'd actually prefer that as my
penis candle mogul accused of death by ritualistic toad
mind,
venom. Accused of death?
The candle.
He still got his shop.
Did the candle
and the
die?
camera, I think, can see my computer.
You know the
so
candles don't die; they just burn out, right? That's not like a murdering of a candle. That's doing its job.
Dude, I have every time I light a candle, I am screaming bloody murder because I can't. I'm killing this candle. I'm literally snuffing it out.
And yet you still do it.
I still because it smells nice.
Because you're a psychopath.
If Rudy smelled good whenever you lit him on fire, I would light him on fire.
Do we know that he doesn't?
Good point. We don't.
I mean, I guess I don't.
We don't.
I am gonna have to. I'm gonna ruin my algorithm
Hey,
here.
the shop still exists. I just can't pull it up because the camera sees my computer screen.
That's okay. I'm gonna open an incognito tab and go to Etsy and look for a penis candle and just see if there's a good knockoff. There are so many.
So many, I bet. Yep.
There are so many.
A lot of stuff on Etsy.
And they're so detailed.
Well, I gotta go.
How much candle are you looking for here, Lesky? It's really important. Oh, some of them are worse than others, believe it or not.
I don't know how to answer that question.
That's probably for the best.
Not get you a violation.
They're all worse when they're lit, by the way.
Oh.
They're all worse. The camera's in front of me, right?
Yeah.
No, you're good.
Beards, okay, this is a TOS violation.
I mean,
for
I could use the other one and zoom in on your laptop, but nobody would be able to see anything because it wouldn't focus.
Right, you know what, honestly?
It would be a sensor.
It would be for the best. Do you know you could get, I'm not going to, listen, conversation at this point, who remembers what we were even talking about? You can get little caps for light switches, put them on there.
Yeah. Sounds lovely.
Are they in the shape of something?
I don't know. Who's to say?
It's not even dark outside yet.
Oh man!
Wow. Okay.
Is it dark?
Well,
it's getting there.
It's getting there.
There's still
It's getting
sunlight.
dark in here also.
It's AES after dark time.
Oh,
Don't worry.
this candle's called My Secret Garden.
Okay.
I'm gonna close that tab before I get
I
fired.
am so excited
your
for your
gift.
ads that come. I
tomatoes and
I would just
cucumbers.
I think that you could probably get a
Eggplant or two.
pretty healthy following of just showing screenshots of your Gmail for the next 2 weeks.
I went into an incognito tab and I can't remember if that tracks your browsing data for
it
ads or
doesn't.
not. So if it doesn't, then I think I've dodged that particular penis-shaped bullet.
It doesn't track it. now I'm really angry.
Okay, I'll you know what?
But-
I'll Google it on my main computer, on my main browser.
You've said it
also.
out loud a handful of times. Your phone's definitely picked it
Oh,
up. Now
that's true.
now that's all your
God.
Instagram ads.
If you
all
want to do it
your
on like
Instagram ads.
the studio computer too.
That's the way to go.
That one I could just leave it up and just see who finds it
That's what I'm
first. That
saying.
would be great,
Let's
actually.
see.
That would be. Listen, the Border Patrol stumbles on that in the morning, and all of a sudden we're gonna. You know how in old churches and Catholic buildings, whatever, you have those tables that are just covered in lit wax and candles that have been clearly burned for a long time. This console might just become one of those covered in penis candles. 38 The Spot and our Twitch stream are both going to have some serious cropping.
Yeah. Well, we got the bottom third, so
We're going to
just
really
raise
need
up
to
those
make sure.
cameras.
I had a pretty good joke about circumcision that I
6 to
almost
12
got to.
inches.
I mean, maybe for some of you.
The night is
I mean,
young.
it's for a candle. You know, you're not buying real. You're not buying life size of the candle. You're thinking, dream big, Josh.
You know those little tea candles that are just a little metal, they're like a 1/4-inch wick?
Yep. Yep.
Lesky, you tweeted today that after Brady Singer left the game, or actually might have been after the 6th inning when he probably should have left the game.
Yeah.
One or the other. You tweeted that you've never done the show immediately following a good Brady Singer
We
start.
always talk after Brady Singer starts.
And this is even because we usually talk on Thursdays and just ended up being
Yeah.
Wednesday. It didn't matter. We got a Brady Singer start.
Yeah.
And
it
he was great.
He was fantastic.
And then they brought in their best reliever,
Yeah.
and he blew it.
Whit Merrifield thinks he's the best reliever in the league. He's wrong.
But
he
you know,
thinks that.
he tweeted that he's an all-star. He might have been an all-star first half of the year.
I guess.
You could argue that,
Look,
whatever.
I love Scott Barlow.
Yeah.
He's been really good this year.
But it
he
wasn't
was
today.
not
'cause
really
he-
good today.
He knew you were coming in.
Yeah. Well, he wanted to give us
I'm
the
going to move the snowman so I can look directly at Lesky without
Yeah,
looking,
just look at
through,
my
a,
eyes.
looking through a snowman.
He
It's a weird show.
he wanted us to have more to talk because look, we don't know how to talk about a good game.
That's true at this point.
I really want to go back and look at the days that we have talked after a day game to see if they've won any of them.
Maybe in that first couple weeks, but
I
when they
feel
just-
like not.
Maybe.
But-
Definitely not lately, though, for sure.
Yeah,
Well,
I
we
mean,
talked on
been-
opening day.
It's been a while.
So they won that for sure. Because I remember rushing home.
Because
and
the first inning took over and
right,
it was like right at an hour.
The game started at
essentially,
3
yeah.
and ended at 2 in the morning.
Yep.
And we talked at about 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
You're right, though, because I honestly, it's kind of at a point now where the losses are at least sort of familiar, even whenever they're happening in weird different ways for weird different reasons. A win
Yeah.
right now is basically useless. Really, I guess sort of every game is sort of useless, and the results are useless. The individual
Arby's.
performances
No,
aren't.
we're not eating
Right?
Arby's.
Eat Arby's.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We talked
Yeah.
about food a lot tonight. I'm still pretty hungry. I needed my halftime donut. I forgot to go get. There are
Oh
donuts
yeah,
in the
we
break
were
room.
gonna do a
So,
halftime.
I was gonna have a
forgot
halftime
about
donut.
that.
Forgot about it. So I don't know. Did anything for you specific to today? Because we did have a day game. Let's talk about Brady Singer being good. Let's
Yeah.
start there. What did you think of his start before it all got a little sketchy in the 7th?
I thought he did a really nice job of. I mean, we talk about this all the time. It's change eye level, change timing. Eye level timing. That's literally all pitching is, right? I mean, it's very hard and very easy, and very simple and very difficult. Maybe
Yeah.
is a better way to put that.
Yeah.
Especially with the candle talk.
Yeah,
And
that's a good
anyway, waxy.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know
just feel like
either.
saying waxy. He did a really good job of that today, and he made a couple
Can
mistakes.
you imagine blowing out that? Go ahead. Never mind, don't worry about
No, I'm not going to do that. He made a couple mistakes that the Reds didn't capitalize on, which is good news. I mean, the Reds are a good offensive team. Look, you're not going to go through. Some pitchers will occasionally, but for the most part, you're not going to go through a game and look at every pitch and say every single pitch was exactly perfect,
immaculate. Yeah,
every game. Even you look at some of the best pitch games ever. You look at Kerry Wood's 20 strikeout game, Randy Johnson's perfect game. There was a pitch you go, ooh, if he had swung at that,
yeah, changes it all. Absolutely.
And so whatever, that's fine. I think he did a really good job. There's still the issue. He doesn't have a third pitch, and sometimes it doesn't hurt him, like today, because he's got good enough stuff that when he's on, he doesn't need it. And sometimes it does hurt him, like every other time he's pitched before we've spoken. So he was good today.
Yeah,
he was sharp. I thought he was efficient. There were a couple times I thought he was about to implode, and he didn't, which is great.
Yeah, he took the ball off his hand, and then immediately, I think it was the next batter or 2 batters later, he hit the guy.
Yeah, and I thought, oh, here we go.
Oh God, here it goes again.
But no, he got out. I don't remember exactly the scenario, but he got out of it, and it was an encouraging outing.
Yeah.
And I think they've had kind of some training wheels on him lately because of his shoulder. And he's not going to pitch now for at least 8 days. I imagine more. I don't think he's going to pitch the first game out of the break. So they let him go, and I was fine. That was a good decision. I didn't love the 7th. I thought, if you're going to start, I hate the idea of, he's pitching until somebody gets on. I hate it.
Yeah,
I absolutely hate it because
Yeah.
all you're doing is the best case scenario is obviously a 1-2-3 inning, whatever, nobody cares, but you are setting your reliever up for failure every single time, and it bothers me. And the only time I'm okay with, hey, we're leaving the starter in for one batter is if it's like a lefty-lefty matchup and you can't specialize anymore because of the 3-batter rule.
Sure.
So that I'm cool with, but
you would still have an out planned regardless of what happened with that next batter.
Exactly. Yeah. It's hey, he's going to face, if it was Mike Minor, he's going to face Tyler Naquin, and that's it. Okay, cool, perfect. But they had Singer in, and he faced, who was it? It was the catcher. Barnhart.
Barnhart.
Yeah,
Barnhart. Yeah, Barnhart.
And he lined a single, and then he was out of the game. It's like, well, you left him in to face the guy without the platoon advantage.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a pitch for lefties, so what?
Right. What is the logic?
I don't get it. But
I mean, we were talking about. I was copying your notes from class on Baseball Tonight yesterday. We talked to Max Reaper about some of this with leaving Mike Minor in to then give up the home run to deep drive to the left from Nick Castellanos. It's sorry for eulogizing during Castellanos' at bat. We should all know better by now. Where you had tweeted right before that, you're like, I don't know that I like letting Minor go through the 3-4-5 for a third time. Like that's something that makes me a little bit nervous. And then one pitch later,
it was literally the first pitch.
Literally the first pitch, mid eulogy. And Minor said afterwards he was like took a pitch off and didn't think that he would be aggressive there, even though Nick Castellanos I have now learned is a very aggressive first pitch swinger. Mm-hmm. That kind of stuff. You're not just being reactionary to this. There is actually some forethought that goes into this that I would like to see the Royals be better at, I guess.
Well, and what I hated, to get into the Matheny side of it, if he had said after the game, hey, I wrote this, look, our bullpen is dog tired.
Yes.
Yep.
I know that there's risks, but Minor was pitching well, and we had to try to get another inning. Kyle Zimmer's arm we're running out of duct tape.
Yep.
And so we gotta save him as much as we can. All that. And look, I understand, and it didn't work out, and that's on me. Blah blah blah. Okay. But then
it's reasonable. That is reasonable logic.
Yes, because you've got a whole team to think about.
Yep.
But he said, I liked the way he threw in the 6th inning to the number 9 hitter, the leadoff hitter who wasn't leading off when the lineup was put out because he went in there when India was scratched, and a number 2 hitter who's really good until he faces a lefty when he basically becomes Jorge Soler. Okay, cool. You got those 3 out.
You would hope he would look good against those 3 guys.
If he didn't, that would be a problem. And then, so who's he up against? It's Nick Castellanos, lefty-righty matchup. Mm-hmm. Tyler Stevenson, another lefty-righty matchup. And Joey Votto, who isn't great anymore, but, he's one of the best of all time. People might argue that, but I think he's one of the best of all time. And I'm not saying top 10, but he's up there.
They showed his numbers just in Reds history, and you see all the numbers, all the players that they've had in their history. he's right up there with all those guys.
He's
with a bunch of Hall of Famers.
I personally think Votto's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
You know, that's a tough trio to face.
He's played on some
time.
really bad Reds teams for a large part of his career.
Just for your reference point, you would have to say something so wild about basically any player who has not played for the Royals in the last 10 years for me to fight you on it. Like for you to have
accepted.
Like you could just say, I think literally name a baseball player for me.
I think Pokey Reese is one of the finest shortstops to ever play baseball.
It's actually Pokemon, but
I would go, yeah, I mean, I would trust your word over mine on that. So
you said the last decade, so I can talk about Tony Pena Jr. too.
Tony Pena Jr. might trip a wire.
Never forget opening day when Tony, the opening series where Tony Pena Jr. was a future All-Star.
How do you guys? What?
Because I remember Dice. That's when Dice K also made his major league debut against the Royals.
Debut too. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I remember that.
2007, good times.
Yeah.
Defer to both of you on 2007 Royals.
The opening series against the Red Sox was great. The rest of the year was, we can forget.
Yeah. It's starting to sound kind of familiar actually. Now opening series looked great. And
Tony Pena Jr. was a future for a while.
So anyway, Joey Votto take.
He is. I wish I forgot that he wasn't until like a week ago.
Yeah, full circle. Joey Votto is the best player you've ever seen. You wouldn't trade him for Mike Trout. I get it.
Number one,
Yeah. But you send Minor back out into that circumstance, and it literally takes one pitch.
Yeah.
Literally takes one pitch.
And then he walked the next two. I think he walked the next two guys. And
I was laughing so hard at the Castellanos thing that I don't remember what happened after that.
See, I was at the game, so I didn't hear it until later. And then I'm like, I love being at the game, but every so often something so ridiculous happens on the broadcast that I'm like why
lights on fire and Nick Castellanos kills a man?
I know.
Yeah, that still
it.
blows my mind.
Although I did see where I was sitting, I actually saw the flames, but I didn't realize I saw it. Like out of the corner of my eye, I see this like orange.
Yeah,
and I was like, "What? It's gone. Oh, I must flat. Somebody." The sun peeked through. I don't know. But then I realized about 20 minutes later when I think it was Harold Kuntz was mystified by it.
Yes. It's fascinating. Incredible.
Yeah. Good for that guy, I guess. He bought a wallet that a 12-year-old owns.
Listen, got him on TV.
He might be the coolest guy in Kansas City right now, if we're being honest. Like, certainly the coolest guy wearing a Royals uniform.
That's
fair. That's fair.
Probably true. So I thought the Minor thing was interesting because there was the preemptive logic behind it, and like the stuff about the 9, 1, and 2 of being your 9-hitter, a guy who was
he was originally a 9-hitter,
pinch hitting and was a 9-hitter, whatever we had for India, and then up against an excellent player who turns into Jorge Soler in this circumstance. Like that's something that I would pay no mind to casually watching the game.
Yeah.
That I would hope the Royals were paying some mind to.
Yes.
That's sort of my frustration. I wonder if we're going to want to... I wonder if... Listen, Lesky, I don't know if... I'm going to go and run this by you. We were very delicate whenever I talked to Max yesterday. We tiptoed around this really carefully. We're very, very careful about it. But
are we talking about firings?
Do you think Cal Eldred is the best pitching coach you've ever seen, much like Joey Votto is the best baseball player you've ever seen?
Cal Eldred is the finest molder of pitchers in the history of people named Cal Eldred. Number one,
Let's see.
Hands down.
Start Googling, Rudy. Let's see if there's a junior. Or does he have a junior?
His
somewhere?
son is in the Royals organization.
So he might not.
But
be.
he's not Cal.
Oh, okay. Well, it's not a Cal Eldred Jr. Okay.
Brad?
People.
Biff? I don't know.
Biff? I hope a man named Cal named his son Biff. It's ridiculous.
That'd be great.
What do you think the chances are? We've talked about Cal Eldred a million times. Max and I really were like, every single time we were like, we don't really know what a pitching coach like really does. Like, we don't want to just fire a guy, we seriously went through that. It was on like the fourth pass that I just interrupted Max. Max, we have been, because I was doing it too. We have both been so careful to not just say, boy, howdy, Cal Eldred cannot be very good at his job, given the evidence that we currently have. So with that softening already well established, What do you think the chances are that something happens during the break?
Well, look, we don't know what impact the pitching
And
coach
it's
had.
so hard to say because you know what kind of talent is he working with, and maybe he's actually great at his job.
You know what?
And you never want anybody to get fired.
I'm okay
You
with
never
people
want
getting
anybody
fired.
to lose their job.
It doesn't bother me, honestly.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't feel too much remorse for a
Edward Olivares
13-year.
Edward Olivares has sort of lost his job 9 times this year and has been pretty good at it.
Yeah, and he's been So I
better than Cal Eldred does at his job.
If you're I think Cal is 10-year big leaguer, so he
at his current job.
And-
At his current job.
Well, but still, he's got it. He's fine.
He's fine.
He'll
He'll be fine. Yeah.
And he would have another job in baseball.
Right.
And like this is not like he's not going to. He would have a job next year. Maybe he's not a pitching coach. He is.
Maybe
in
he's in the front office somewhere.
He's working in baseball.
I think, you were joking. We don't know what kind of talent. It's all about the talent. I've said this before. The 18 and 19 teams. Okay.
Totally.
I wasn't a huge fan of Cal Eldred, but you look at the talent on those rosters. You're like, all right, I'm gonna look. I don't know who. I believe I've said to you. I don't think the 90s Leo Mazzoni could have made the 18 and 19 staff passable. Even
Right.
This staff, they've got Brady Singer, first round pick, Mike Minor, Cy Young vote receiver 2 years ago. That seems really weird, but he finished 9th, I think.
But he did.
Danny Duffy, who has had a good year, and has been an average or better big league pitcher since like 2013 when he came back from Tommy John.
Also, theoretically, the guy that would need the least sort of
Right.
molding. Yeah.
Brad Keller, who has had a fantastic 3-year start to his career and is the one who's compared the most to Cal Eldred, which you don't hear those comparisons anymore.
No, those have stopped.
Bizarre,
Yeah,
right?
Weird, very
Chris
strange.
Bubich, first round pick.
Yep.
Daniel Lynch, first round pick. Jackson Coar, first round pick. So, and then you look at the bullpen. Josh Stallmont, there was 100 with a great curve. Now I think he's had some issue. I think there's some injury and maybe some COVID stuff that's hurt him. Scott Barlow, good year. He's the feather in anybody's cap.
Yep.
Jake Brent has developed, good year. But I mean, Greg Holland had an ERA under 2 last year. You've got. This is not a staff lacking talent.
Right.
And who has been good enough? Duffy, though he's hurt, or he has been hurt. Barlow, Brent, Zimmer has I mean, you're talking about an inning at a time for these guys. When the only feathers in your cap are relievers, I don't know. Brady Singer, I think today was a great start, but I think he's taking a step back. Bubich has taken a big step back. Lynch and Coar, I don't think there's no steps back they could take when they come back.
Literally unplayable. They became literally
Yes,
unplayable.
If they take another step back, they will fall into the waxy candle residue.
That's right.
Of the earth. I mean, there are.
They could package the two of them in Jorge Soler for $75 at the deadline.
Those fountains in the outfield, that's not water.
No,
Wax.
it's wax from the candles.
And that's where they will be if they take a step. And
that's right.
So you can say, well, we don't know what kind of talent. We know what kind of talent he's working with.
Yeah.
And they aren't cutting it. They walk too many guys. They give up too many hits with 2 strikes. They make too many mistakes down the middle of the plate. It's just it's getting worse as the season goes on. It's not. I mean, I looked it up a while ago, and this may have changed, so I could be off here. But through like mid-May, they were actually doing pretty well about keeping the ball out of the middle. The pitching staff was not bad. And then it just started to deteriorate, and everybody is getting worse. It's not the sticky stuff. It happened before that.
Yeah.
And most of the Royals pitchers, they didn't really have. I was looking at it every day, every game, every day, not every day. There's that.
It's just been a lot this segment.
It's something. There's a lot going on.
And there's a deep drop left in the field.
This might be the last time I have these headphones on.
I'd like to apologize to whoever was signing these checks and nobody else really. Just really the check
people
signers.
who
And
write
also,
the
thank you
checks.
for writing the checks. I don't even know what I was saying anymore.
As
but
every game,
spin
every
rates,
day.
every
Sticky rates.
every day it
Yeah,
gets
yeah.
worse.
Yeah.
At some point, you've got to say, what information are they being given? I don't expect Brady Singer to be poring over the stats. If he Bubich is a guy I think who does that. That's great for him. Lynch is another guy who does that. Brady Singer, I don't think he's spending a ton of time looking at Baseball Savant.
He's working on his uppercut because next time it rains, he's ready to go.
Yeah, he's all set.
Ready to go.
But somebody should be doing that.
Yeah.
And providing, I don't need the pitchers to be doing that. It's if they want to, great. But somebody needs to be, and somebody needs to understand how to present that information. And I think JJ Piccolo mentioned this a couple weeks ago on a podcast I was listening to. Might have been Baseball America. I don't know. Talking about how it's not as much about what the information is; it's about the presentation of it. And I don't think they're presenting the information right.
Yeah.
Maybe it's right for somebody, but not for everybody. And I don't know. And then there are other things we've talked about so many times, like Chris Bubich struggled in spring training, went to the alternate site, found it away from this staff, came to the big leagues, was really good, and now has lost it and can't find it again. Brad Keller can't find it.
Yeah. Can't keep doing the same thing, expect different results.
It's just this, I don't know, this constant struggle. And I think about Brady Singer again. The guy they probably say that he needs to develop a changeup more often than they say his name.
Yes, it is his legal middle name now.
Right.
It's Brady has two pitches Singer.
Yes, and what's happening? Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I'm not bashing Singer so much here, although I sort of am, I guess. At some point,
he's gotten away with having two pitches at this point in his career. I don't really blame him. I don't really blame him for saying I have two pitches.
And he had a nice finish to last year.
Yeah,
and so
sure. Somebody above him should be working with him on saying, hey man, listen, you've gotten away with having two pitches to this point,
but
that's not
gonna
last.
Yeah.
That never lasts. Nobody lasts in baseball doing the exact same thing for a decade.
And
Nobody.
I guess go back to Joey Votto. That guy has changed every couple years.
Every great player has an evolution, a clear one.
They mentioned that a ton in the broadcast, just how they were kind of showing just like all the different batting stances.
Yes.
Like because that's been a big deal for him. It's like, and even like players like, and some it's more minor change. Like I remember like Mike Trout, it's like every now and then there's like a little hole where he's a little bit weak. And then it seems like 2-3 weeks later, and he's hitting 400 on those pitches.
Right.
Because like he's constantly making adjustments to every little hole that he may find.
Exactly. And where, I mean, it's not just the pitching staff. Where are the adjustments on this team?
They just don't happen.
They just keep doing the same things.
I was hoping you weren't going to wait for me to give you an actual answer because I could not come up with one.
Can you please, in detail, roughly 10 pages of spoken word.
I can do that. Would you like it to rhyme? Does it need to be rhyming? You say spoken word. I think
Iambic
poetry.
pentameter would be great.
I can do that.
But
do that.
whatever you can muster up.
We'll see at this point. I should have asked. You should have asked before the candle talk. Let's take our break because I don't want to run out of time. But I have one more Cal Eldred thing that I want to run by you that is in some ways a variant of every Cal Eldred conversation we've ever had. But I want to bring that up and then maybe we look ahead to the deadline a little bit. And I know you've got a story for us tonight. So there's a whole lot to talk about.
It's a good story
with David Lesky of go to the Substack. You can read some of his work on Royals Review still, right? We're still on
Royals
Review,
every morning.
still a good friend of Royals Review. But
I
also
read the Substack every morning.
InsideTheCrown.substack.com.
Yeah.
I have even read it during some of these dark stretches, and I very much appreciate it.
I would like to say, if you subscribe,
InsideTheCrown.substack.com.
InsideTheCrown.substack.com. Joshua Brisco will come to your house and give you a hug. He will buy you a candle.
I will buy. You can if you subscribe. You know what? I'm gonna just twist it just a tiny bit. Right now, this stanky old newsletter is still completely free to subscribe to right now. InsideTheCrown.substack.com. And think about, since you're not currently paying for a subscription, you could put that money towards the candle of your choosing.
Yeah.
So it's really, you can, I closed the tab.
For the cost of 3 candles a day.
For like $10, you can get Inside the Crown and a candle of your choosing. The newsletter's free and the candle costs like $10. It's
a great way to put it.
It feels like a pretty good deal.
And I have an advertiser.
And Inside the Crown brought to you by Penis Candles. .substack.com.
Did you know you can listen to Almost Entirely Sports anywhere, anytime? Well, you can. Just search for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts.
Outdoor grilling season is here. Whether you need to upgrade your cooker, grab your new accessories, or just reload on the rubs, get to the Kansas City Barbecue store today. With a great staff that can help an experienced pitmaster or a weekend warrior just looking to fire up his grill for the family. Come check out the true one-stop shop for your summer barbecue at KC Barbecue Store at 119th and Straight Line in Olathe.
There's only one loan program that can have your home paid off in less than...
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco
Everything that comes out of Keller's hand is hard.
on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
David Lesky of Inside the Crown still with us here. You can subscribe to the Substack, insidethecrown.substack.com. You can also follow him on Twitter at DBLesky. I wanted to run one more Cal Eldred thing by you, and then we'll talk about something else.
Hit me with it.
This is my promise.
Bad with at his job.
We've who? Which one of us? All of us? That's what I thought.
Everybody.
We've been over the thing of
Fire
like
everybody.
We've been over the thing of either like fire all the pitchers or fire the pitching coach, right? Whenever everybody regresses,
All the pitchers.
either all your pitchers are worse than you thought, which I don't actually think is the case, to be clear, or you go, you know what, they're getting some bad coaching. Coaches always take the fall there. except for maybe if it's a coach versus a quarterback. But it's no team in any sport ever turns over their entire roster after, years of underachieving or seeing a big step back or whatever, right? I am curious if you think there's any chance that it happens during the All-Star break. And here would be my call for the urgency. And having an interim pitching coach, maybe that's fresh eyes, something wonky, and something good comes from it. Maybe it's a disaster, but it's been a disaster already. And whenever you're talking about Lynch and Kowar and Singer and to some extent Keller, I don't want them to keep being molded by a pitching coach that I don't think anyone here believes in.
Yeah.
Like, that is a really rough sell for me. So I don't know. What do you make of that?
No,
do you think
that's fair? And I was almost Surratt on Friday, and he mentioned that Curtis thought there would be some firings over the break. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I think so. Because Curtis is really he can coerce you into an opinion.
He can. Curtis is smart.
He is.
He's a tricky man.
He is. And
Curtis.
Also
just very mean.
He's listening.
I do too. I'm afraid my phone's going to buzz.
I'm less confident of that the farther away we get. Now,
yeah.
I will say that Friday also, Dayton Moore huddled with reporters, and he talked about how he's very happy with the job they've done. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, I feel like the day before he fired Trey Hillman, he said something about that. And so I'm not proud of this, but I spent a long time trying to find that quote. It was like 2 hours. And I wasn't like on the computer like frantically. I was on my phone. My wife and I were eating dinner, and I was like, nothing. Just
nothing on it. I'm trying to find a quote from Dayton Moore about Trey Hillman.
And it's hard to find stuff from 2010. I feel like it'll be easier to find stuff in 2032 from 2021 than it is anyway.
Yeah.
I did finally find the general idea behind it, and it was that on May 10th, he talked about Trey Hillman giving them everything they needed, and on May 13th, Trey Hillman managed his last game for the Royals, and so I feel like Dayton Moore isn't going to have that conversation unprompted without something about to happen. I think that there's a conversation to be had about Terry Bradshaw as well. I have less ire toward him because of I don't think there's not as much talent in the lineup. You've been missing Mondesi the entire season for the most part. Benintendi started slow and then got hurt, and now he's back to starting slow from being hurt. Like,
it would be nice to blame someone for Dozier and Soler, but at that point you're talking about 2-1, not 9-1, which is a pitcher to Eldred ratio.
So I think there's a chance. I don't know if I'm gonna say it's 50-50 or 30-70, whatever, but I think there's a chance something happens. I think there's a real chance for some player movement, not necessarily, maybe not at the break, but somebody asked me, what are the odds Soler's on the roster on Friday, July, whatever?
Yeah,
it is, the 16th,
I think you dropped this on us last time too, and it still blows my mind. But yeah, go ahead.
And I think the odds are better he's on the roster on the 16th and the 31st. I don't think he's got much longer. I really don't. So I think at some point things are gonna the tumbleweed's about to tumble. I don't know if it's going to be on Sunday night or Wednesday or whatever, but I think something's going to happen. I don't know what it is, but something's going to happen.
The Soler thing, again, yesterday when we talked to Max, he gave some examples of this not being a tremendous outlier, but like 2 years ago, he was breaking franchise home run records. Yeah. We talk about the contract year being, and then he could end up being DFA'd. Max kind of went through a few guys in recent years where that sort of happened, so I'll allow that, I guess. The crazy thing was, like, we talked about the contract year being undefeated, and it's taking an L with Jorge Soler.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, if he would have signed an extension, or if he would have gotten moved or whatever, there was a ton of money waiting there for him, and now he
has fallen so far that. We need to have we don't have to, I guess, but we should have a serious conversation in November of, should the Royals give him a minor league deal?
It's insane.
He hit 48 home runs in 2019. Why wouldn't you give him a minor league deal for that upside?
You would do that if you were another team looking at someone else's
Exactly.
castaway.
Now, I'll give you another
power
example.
hitter.
We just saw him, Eugenio Suarez. Now he's got 17 home runs. Part of that, if you look on Baseball Savant on each player's page, you can see the home runs they'd hit in other parks. Soler's got 6 with the Royals. The only other team where he'd be below 10 is the Tigers. So you put Soler in Cincinnati for half his games. And by the way,
there's more power.
Comerica is 10 of Soler's games too. So
that's wild. Yeah.
So he's got 91 games in the 2 places where he has the least. Anyway,
that's bonkers. Yeah.
So Suarez hit 49 home runs in 2019. He's hitting 170. He's got 17 homers, but he's hitting 170. I mean, 17 of his 54, 55, whatever it is, are home runs. Like, if you put him in Kansas City, I don't know. I haven't looked at his page to see, but I would bet he'd be down closer to 10 in Kansas City, and we'd be having the same conversation. It's not that different, those two guys. So yeah, I mean, I think that it's just I don't know. It's crazy what's happened, but
yeah, it's unbelievable.
I don't know that. They moved him to the 2 spot. That first night, you could see he was making a huge effort to put the ball on the right side of second base.
Mm-hmm.
The second night, he stopped. Third night, he went back to it, and it wasn't all terrible. I mean, he hit a ball. I can't remember. I think it was against the Twins. He thought it was a home run, dead center. I don't know if you saw it or not, but he.
At this point, I'd have no way of remembering.
That's fair. That's fair.
So far, it has not fired any synapses.
It went to the wall. I thought it was gone. He thought it was gone. HUD thought it was gone. Everybody thought it was gone, and it wasn't. There's just something's off, and I think that what we've seen, they moved him out of the 2 spot already. He sat a couple games. I mean, this is the beginning of the end, and whether the end is Monday or a week from Monday, I think that they've been trying to get him going to say, hey, look, you can get this for a brand new bag of baseballs.
Hit a home run and let us trade you tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah,
but
go 3 for 4 just one time.
And he's hit the ball hard a little bit, I guess. But I mean, that double on Monday was a good one. Then he sat yesterday, and then today he almost hit a double play, but it almost got Ryan O'Hearn decapitated. Which I hope he's okay. He came out. I mean, I can't think he came out for defense, but he didn't look good.
No, that was weird.
It was very normal baseball play. But yeah, it's just I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. And it feels like they are almost done.
Yeah.
I just don't know when done happens.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same. Honestly, I think that's the way that they are with Eldred at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're almost done because whether you think he is the man for the job or not, you can't let the performance go.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. If you think he is the best pitching coach in baseball, then doesn't matter.
It's just almost completely impossible to make that work with the evidence.
And it's not like it's, oh, well, I think that there's a lot of people aren't a Matheny fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I get it to some extent. I think he's done a nice job in some ways, and in other ways he could still improve, but it's probably true of all of us.
Sure.
He had a 60-game season, and they've played, 86 games?
86.
86.
Yep. 86. I just looked and he nailed it. They've lost 50 now. They're at their 50 loss mark.
Perfect.
Today was loss
Wonderful.
number 50. And it feels like loss number 500.
50 to go. I don't think they're going to lose 100. That'd be really tough. They could do it, but I don't think they're going to. Anyway, so he's managed 146 games.
Yeah.
Cal Eldred's pitching coached. Is that how you would say that?
I think you nailed
pitching to coach. I don't know. He's coached the pitching.
Yes.
For 262 game seasons, 60 game season. That's 384, 86, 470 games. That's a lot more than 146.
And it's getting worse. And this is the worst that it's been.
It's 4 years versus not even a full 162.
Yeah.
So, and Terry Bradshaw's in that same boat. He was. Did he come in 2018? I can't remember.
I don't remember either. I still think it's weird that he changed sports. But
well, look, when you've accomplished everything that he had, it was look. He won Super Bowls. He'd been a broadcaster, and now it was time to help Jorge Soler break the Royals
and he did it.
run record.
And he did it. And then he broke Jorge Soler.
Yes, he's accomplished everything.
Yeah.
2018 seasons. When
Okay, so they're both. I mean, at some point you go, okay, it's been 4 years and nothing's gotten better on both sides. I tend to think pitching coaches are more valuable than hitting coaches as far as in season, but yeah, at some point the results speak for themselves. So
Terry Bradshaw also looks a lot different now.
he does, yes, shorter.
What do you give me a couple quickies here of guys you think could move ahead of the deadline that you think would make a lot of sense? Like, and they're I was gonna say not maybe their best player for like a great prospect, thinking like I don't know who that would be, but Michael A. Taylor has gotten a little bit of buzz. It seems like his name has come up a few times.
Yeah.
Andrew Benintendi's a super interesting one to me. I don't know. Maybe a team thinks they could put Danny Duffy in the bullpen and get something out of him. I kind of have always felt like the Royals should probably be looking to trade Whit Merrifield at like all times, just because I don't think his peak has lined up with what their peak will eventually look like.
Yeah.
I don't know, Carlos Santana. What do you? It might be easier to say who you don't think is going to move. I don't know. What do you think?
Salvi's not moving.
That makes sense.
I don't think Nicky Lopez is moving. I think they really like what they've gotten from him, and that's fair. He's been really solid. Dozier's not moving because nobody wants that contract.
Yep.
Soler is not moving because nobody wants him. If you look at guys, Taylor and Dyson are two guys who could be really valuable adds as a fourth outfielder. We saw,
which would be a success, by the way. From the you get half a season, you find out you're crappy again, you get something back for a couple dudes you got for nothing.
And we saw how important that fourth outfielder can be.
Yeah.
And if you're a team like, the White Sox have lost a million outfielders. And by the way, Adam Eaton's so bad that they DFA'd. Yes, so sad.
So sad.
They DFA'd Adam Eaton when they have no outfield.
That's not great.
They're playing Billy Hamilton regularly.
Who made a great play diving in the mud. I saw that.
And
I was like, the Royals let him go
today.
Wow, really?
Got a hit off it.
I did not
see
that.
But we saw how valuable a fourth outfielder can be during the Royals playoff runs. That's useful. And Taylor's got some pop. There's some. He's not a player without his value. He just shouldn't be starting.
Yeah, and they also these players both maybe have more value on better teams.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because none of these dudes we're talking about right now are going to be here in 2 or 3 years.
Definitely. I think Santana's interesting. I don't think they're going to trade him though, because I think they see Prado and Witt and Isbell coming back potentially, and Olivares eventually staying up for more than 3 or 4 days.
Right.
And they really like what Santana brings in the lineup as far as a professional at bat, kind of the Shields effect on the offense.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're going to move him, and I don't think he would get huge offers.
I think that's reasonable.
So I think keep him probably. Duffy's an interesting case. Mike Minor would be interesting. He's another guy.
Mike Minor would be interesting.
I don't think they'll move him though, because they have zero. Nothing's guaranteed, but quote guaranteed innings in 22, and they've got Minor signed, who they know they can put out there for 6 innings and 100 pitches and not care if his arm falls off. So
it's just what a way to go about life, man.
I know.
It's just like you're right. Everything you just said makes a ton of sense.
And so it's hard to. But at the same time, I mean, you can go out and you can sign somebody next year.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you can give the Minor deal to. I haven't even looked at the free agents yet, but whoever's out there, I think that there's some possibilities, I guess. But I don't think they'll be very active, honestly.
Eat Arby's, man. That's where I'm at right now. The Royals probably aren't going to be very active. I think second to Bobby Witt Jr. might get called up by the All-Star break in 2022. I think would be the only phrase that could bum me out more.
I don't think it'll be that early.
Yeah, that's all right. All right, I'm gonna write a deep depression into this commercial break whenever we come back. We're either gonna end up talking about something Royals related, or we're gonna find out if Lesky has enough time to tell this story this week. And if not, we'll continue to teasing. I'm not very good at teasing for the next segment. Teasing a story for the next week would be pretty powerful.
It is the Jimmy Kimmel Matt Damon thing.
Yeah, that's perfect.
This story includes, by the way, Jimmy Kimmel and Matt Damon. We'll talk
true.
about it. We'll talk about it at some point.
At JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, at Not That Rudy, at Sports Radio 810. Just do it already. You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
You talked to me about Chili's, and I'm going to see if I can confirm something that I'm pretty sure is true about the Nationals World Series ring.
Okay, well, so here's my thing on Chili's.
With Joshua Brisco.
It's garbage.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Little news for you here tonight. The Tampa Bay Lightning just won their second consecutive Stanley Cup. 1-5 over the Montreal Canadiens. They won Game 4, but a very meager resistance there. Tampa goes back-to-back.
Last Stanley Cup on NBC.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Go to ESPN next year.
Yeah, that's right. They did kind of a little Doc Emmerich goodbye, I think, on in the midst of Game 4, which I was weirdly watching.
I'm surprised they didn't put it on Peacock.
Yeah, right. No, we got NBC over-the-air satellite. It is pretty wild because my family moved to just outside of Tampa, St. Pete, a few years ago, and so we went to a Tampa game pre-pandemic, and it's been funny talking to them. My dad, who could not have possibly cared less about hockey before moving down there. Tampa is like a hockey town.
Yeah.
It is. They are dug in and now have a little dynasty. I saw.
I'd say it's because it's a team that actually wins, but the Rays win and they just don't care about the Rays for whatever reason.
Yeah,
they've had Tampa's got some championships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've got Lightning back to back. Obviously, the Buccaneers. Rudy, I know you don't remember that game. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Remember
what happened?
I was thinking about the Rays in the World Series.
The Rays in the World Series. They've had a pretty good little run for a city that mostly gets bleeped on.
Yeah.
It's been a pretty
You know
good
what?
run.
I was in Tampa a couple years ago. It's fine.
Yeah.
That's
fun.
what I would say. That is my glowing endorsement of Tampa. Listen. If somebody from the Tampa tourism industry is listening, here is your slogan: Tampa, it's fine.
I was in Tampa Bay.
I think it plays.
I'm pulling up because I remember what date I was in Tampa Bay. It was August 10th of 2011. We'd went down to go watch
Salvador Perez.
We went down there to go watch him play.
What just happened?
And while I was down there, I believe we saw the first game, and then it was like the next day before the second game. All of a sudden, I'm just on my phone. It's like they just called up Salvador Perez. So I have a baseball signed by Salvador Perez on his major league debut, and walked right behind him. Jeff Francoeur just grabs the baseball and signs it as well. So
Fun
thank
fact
you, Frenchie.
about that: Salvi was 106 pounds lighter then.
Is that right?
No, I don't think that's
I was gonna say,
You knew the date by the date, so I believe that you might know exactly.
No, they were showing. It was when they were in Tampa.
Yeah.
They were showing the video of him from 2011.
Yeah.
My God.
So my
That
dad
was half
says
a person.
my dad says he found us on there because we got tickets pretty low. So like on the highlights, he says like he has the recording where like he can actually see us there.
Nice.
It was really cool seeing that debut.
Yeah,
man,
I'm
it was
sure.
electric.
He was awesome.
And the next day, a kid jumped on the field and like ran around. It was fun.
Was that kid you?
No. But he
Okay.
jumped. He literally jumped like over our section seats, like a
I
couple
had to ask the
over.
question,
No, wasn't
right?
me.
It's a good
Wasn't
question
me.
to
Wasn't
ask.
me.
If we would've-
I did not have that like
A
ability.
friend of mine jumped
this
on the
kid
field.
covered some ground.
What if we would have ended the show and Rudy would have been like, "That kid was me. Why didn't you guys ask if that kid was me?" Like I would have felt like a real bleep hole. InsideTheCrown.substack.com. Follow him on Twitter at DBLesky. He's got a story for us next time.
Yes.
There's your teaser. Bye, Mom.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Briscoe on Sports Radio 810 WHB.